live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM, your home of the best industry-wide talk on a Thursday night that you're going to get anywhere from just two regular old gamers.
Just regular guys.
With a whole lot of love for the gaming industry, with a little side dish, a little dessert of Speculation Town. That's right, folks. We are here. It is May the 19th already. God, bro, as you get old, man, these weeks, months just fly, man. These years fly by, but,
dude. It still feels like it should be 2020. We were talking about that last night when we were playing the Division. Me and like Psycho and
it's insane. It's insane, and because you've got the kiddo, and she is growing up, and as they get older, it's just it just speeds up, man. I mean, again, my kid's gonna be 22 this year, 22 this year, man. Just heard what Shrek is 21 years old, because he came out when he was born. Yeah,
Shrek is 21.
Yes, brother.
Oh my god,
21 years since Shrek came out, man.
Wow.
But man, it is good to be back on PM in the PM. If you guys didn't know, I have a triple header. This is my third and final show of the day. It's one of those days. It has been fun. I have been talking all day. Started out with Boom, then went across the pond and hung out with the lads over at GPG, Green Pass Gaming, which it's been a minute since I talked to Flap and Scott over there. And of course, we had newer community member Darren, who is on Titan's show now, also drop on in there. He's from across the pond. So it was fantastic. I got my ears filled with accents, those silky, smooth British English accents from over there. And we talked a lot of gaming, but man, it is good to be here with my brother from another, of course, the one, the only Fun Speculation, aka Mav, aka President of the Speculation Nation. What is going on, sir? How have you been, man? We don't talk much because my new schedule kind of keeps me busy at night. I know you guys have been rocking out on Division 2 at night. I've been jealous as all get out, but man, how you been this week and what's going on, brother?
We missed you, man. I miss asking you questions and picking your brain constantly, annoyingly. Figure out how the
I know you got
works.
Steel in there. You can go ahead and pick Steel's brain.
I will say I had a breakthrough last night.
Whoa. Okay.
I did. I had a breakthrough last night with the systems, and really finally understood the calibration system and all of that stuff. So my build, I'm getting a little closer to Steel and Jasper levels now, even though Jasper just started playing the game again. He's already got almost a master build, insane. I'm getting closer. I was catching up in damage, and I have a lot of optimizing still to do. I just got to get that loot in order to make it happen. But man, you're in a run for your money when you come back, Pong. You're not going to be leading that damage anymore on those missions. I have a feeling I'm gonna get there.
You all think that.
I am determined.
You underestimate the tech build. You underestimate the skill build.
That's what you do. Well, that's the thing. Guess what I got?
Yeah, what do you got?
I got a skill build. Got a tech build.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Man.
All right.
And I got two variants of it. I'm going to roll with the one that's an oxidizer all the way, and I got another one where I'm just going to be flaming stuff like crazy.
Nice. You went with the flame? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a heavy build. I like it.
But yeah, man, it's been, other than that, been a busy week. We barely got everything done in time for the show here to get the links out and get everything rolling. But, dude, it's been a fun time this last week playing the new content on the Division, hanging out on that game again, and also looking forward to all this stuff. I mean, you feel the hype coming back. The disappointment from last week is starting to wean away from everybody, and it's starting to kind of build back up into this excitement for the showcase. And shout out to everybody that got those invites for the Fan Fest for Xbox Showcase as well. We have some friends that were able to manage to get some invites to that, so it's pretty awesome. And chat has got lots of awesome people here. Already 32 people here. The show just kicked off. Amazing. So, dude, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're gonna cover PlayStation. We're gonna cover Xbox. We're gonna cover the gamut today, dude. It's gonna be a blast. So, how have you been? Like I know you've been podcast touring today, but besides that, you've been busy at work. You've been pretty good.
Yeah, busy at work. Getting my schedule back to normal. Early to bed, earlier to rise. So, that's what I've been trying to do. So I've been hitting some single player stuff where I can jump in, jump out.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. I've been rocking out on Iuden Chronicle Rising. Shout out to C Unit, Mr. Chris Jones in the chat, who was nice enough to gift that to me. It is in Game Pass, but I own it permanently. But man, oh man.
You like it?
Talk about bringing you back to the classic JRPGs. It is action. It's not turn-based. So I definitely will say that it is action if anybody's wondering out there. But man, talk about the story, beautiful animation. It's not complex by any stretch of the imagination. I know some people said it's a lot of fetch quests. It is a lot of fetch quests like the old days. However, the map is easy to get around. It's not a gigantic map. Once you get it figured out, you can fast travel within each location as well. So that makes it easy if you don't want to do all the running. But I'm enjoying the music. I mean, we're talking about just bringing you back to the height in the Genesis era and the 64 era, but just with upgraded animation and graphics and that kind of stuff. It's gorgeous. So been having a really, really good time with that as well. And then obviously hit Division 2 with you guys last weekend, back in that mode again. Again, I'm jealous that you guys have been hopping on nightly. Again, the Division is just so damn good. I don't think we could be on this channel here and over on Living Split Screen with me and Steel. I don't think we could have hyped this thing up back anymore, done many more free advertising for Ubisoft than we already have. Again, jump back into Division 2. It's worth it. It's so much fun. It's $15 for the whole kit and caboodle right now, I think, for Division 2. You'll if you have not jumped into it, or if you jumped into it a long time ago, now's the time to get back into it. Season 9 is rocking and rolling. It's just so much fun. It really is, solo or with friends. It really is a good time. NBA 2K22 as always, of course. And what else I hopped into here? There's one more that I hopped into. Oh, Arma. I did try out Arma. The preview. For anybody who doesn't know, Arma is coming to consoles. Look, Arma has never been cutting edge. Bohemian Games is not known for cutting edge. What they are known is for great simulation. Here's what I will say. This is a preview build.
Yeah.
Through and through, it is a preview build.
Yeah.
They've got work to do, but that's why they did this before the launch of Arma 4. They wanted to build it off the ground because they're using a brand new engine, so they wanted to work out all the problems. So you get a 6-hour trial, and then you got to spend $30 if you want to continue on with the build. I will not spend $30 for this preview build. I will wait until they get it better.
Yeah, I tried it a little bit.
Yeah. Again, you got to go in with PUBG expectations versus Call of Duty Battlefield expectations, okay? That's what this game's about. It's about the gameplay, but right now, the tutorial was fine. I didn't have a problem with the tutorial, but when I got online and I was playing multiplayer, there's a lot of lag. The guns aren't right. So there's a lot of work to do. Although I did have a good time already, because I only watch videos. I never played this on PC. Yeah. My kid got me to watching videos of Arma. I did have a good time. I was taking over a base and shot an enemy and then changed into their uniform, and the other dudes didn't know I wasn't on their team. So I was taking them out from behind.
That's great.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, it's a military sim, so it's hardcore. Like, you got to know, like, the uniforms. It doesn't tell you that you're looking at an enemy or a friendly. You got to know just by looking at uniforms and that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of things that you can do in this game that you can't do in other of military type games. So again, looking forward to it. Hopefully they'll just continue to improve it. They're dead set on doing this console thing. They've built it from the ground up for consoles. So Definitely looking forward to see what they do with it because I hope that it gets to a good point on consoles because I would love to play this type of military sim game. It is cool, it is fun, it is realistic, and I love that. It's a different.
I gotta figure out if there was some like frame rate settings or like performance mode or quality mode.
Nope. I went in there and there's nothing right now. They are talking about they're aiming for 4K 60. Right. It's not 4K 60 right now. It might be close to 4K, but it ain't hitting 60
it ain't 60.
On a regular.
That was my main issue. I kind of stopped in the tutorial because it was just too jittery, and I was like, okay,
I know you have a problem.
I'm gonna come back to this later, but we'll see. Like, preview builds. That's what they're for. Yeah, I remember when Lost Ark was is that the name of the game? What's the dinosaur game? Ark. Yeah, Ark.
Just Ark.
Yeah, not
Ark.
Lost Ark.
Ark Survival.
Yeah, I remember when Ark came out, how janky that was. I
mean,
it still probably is.
It was 10 frames, maybe. My kid loved that game.
But like, it builds up over time. There's a lot of these games that kind of build that way. So we'll see. I have hopes for it too in the long run because there's not a lot of games like that on console. I would really like it to succeed.
And that's where I'm applauding, right, man?
Yeah.
Is that these companies are this again? We've talked about how much have we talked about this? This gen is looking more and more like the 360 gen. This is why we say it's the golden age. We got these companies that are bringing games to consoles that they never would have before. We are seeing a renaissance of RTSs. We just got another one this week. The Valiant announced squad-based RTS game, which looked like it would have been one of those classic PC-only games. And then after they reveal it, and it's on Steam Preview now, all of a sudden they come out and said, "Oh, by the way, it's coming to PlayStation and Xbox." And we just got a stealth drop of a classic strategy game called Ogre, which started out as a board game back in like the 80s. That they brought over to PC, hardcore strategy game that just out of the blue dropped into Xbox, right? So again, we're seeing this, and I got to applaud all these developers taking a chance, trying to build a fan base finally on console after last gen where we got none of this stuff, right?
Is that Ogre game what the Ogre Tactics games were based off of?
No, this Ogre is based on a tabletop game in which there's it's military. So you got tanks, you got hovercrafts, you got all that kind of stuff. It's hexagonal tiled. So it's move by move, right? But the Ogre is actually these huge giant tanks. And they call them ogres.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of the old
objective is to take them down.
JRPG style tactics games from back.
Yeah, no. This goes further back than that.
Right.
This is I remember this from back in the day. I remember people playing Ogre tabletop before. It is hardcore strategy. This is not for the faint of heart. If you're gonna jump into Ogre, it's like $22, I think, for the game. And again, this is a game that back in the day. Last gen, no chance coming to console.
Yeah.
But here we are now getting it. And like I said, that Valiant one, that new squad-based RTS looks amazing. That's set in the Crusades era. I cannot wait for that. I was so ecstatic to see that coming to consoles. So again, a lot of good stuff happening. And Arma is a part of that. Again, nobody ever thought Arma was coming to console. Ever. But here it is. So Bohemian, shout out to Bohemian Games. Yep. 100%. So that's been my week so far, Mav. Again, having a good time. Just less time gaming during the week. It is what it is. Got to take care of real life and got to do things. So, but having a great time. But this week, Mav, you got any super chats you got to get to?
Yeah, we got one from Alvin. Thanks for the $5 super chat, Alvin. He says, "Long day at work, listening in my earbuds, but Pong and Mav are here to carry me through. Question. Is Division 2 good solo? I own it, but never put time in." Well, I'll let you answer that, Pong Soul.
Okay. Alvin, it depends. If you're used to playing games solo, like I am, again, before I jumped into this community, I would play with randos sometimes, but most of the time I was running games solo. So I ran a lot of Division 2 solo. Ran the Division 1 completely solo outside of a couple rando trips. I enjoy those games solo. Is it better with friends and with a group of people? Yeah, absolutely. Of course it is. That game is set up to be run in a group. However, you can do it solo. Again, just loot, difficulty level, kind of frenetic gameplay that you get when you're in a group because they're throwing more enemies at you and tougher enemies at you. You don't get that experience as a solo player, but Division 2 is done well enough where you can run it solo for sure.
The other aspect of this, if I want to add something to that, because
go right ahead.
Like when I play solo with my build, I struggle a lot. Yeah. Right. So what I would say is, if you're playing with friends, it opens up a lot more possibilities of things you can do, and also maybe challenges you wouldn't undertake otherwise, right? To where you can get better stuff. Now, if the more you put into it, like, the better it's going to be. And there's like a lot of solo builds out there that people put out there. So I would say, like, for me, the most fun aspect of Division 2 is the hard content, like the heroic and doing like the summit and, you know, doing the when you really have a challenge, right? And if you're just playing solo, you can, like, the end game stuff. If you play it only solo and you're struggling at all, you might want to be playing on like normal or just hard. And at that point, you're not getting the best stuff, and it's really hard to kind of build up your character that way. So I would say that invest your time in trying to get a good build if you're playing solo to really get the most out of it, because really the Division 2 is a really good game and fun to play through. I played through the main game solo completely and without any issues. Yeah. But it's the end game stuff that where the game really comes alive, right? It's the end game stuff with your friends, for me, where it really comes alive. Now I can play solo and go farm stuff and do all this, but I die a lot on the hard, on the heroic and challenging difficulty because of my build. Now, if I made a different build for solo that's stronger, you just got to make sure you kind of keep that stuff in mind, right?
In Dark Zone, good luck.
Yeah.
Again, I got lucky and played some Dark. I hate Dark Zone. So I make no qualms about that. But I played during the low time of Division 2 when nobody was playing really. And so I could find times where the Dark Zone was relatively free of some of the griefers and some of the high level sweaties. And so I did do some Dark Zone runs where I got some better loot as a solo player. But now with the popularity picking back up again, you're going to have a hard time in Dark Zone solo. Just unless you find some way to farm a meta build and you go online. That's what I would suggest, Elvin, is go online and watch some of the videos. There is a really strong community surrounding Division 2, and look up some solo builds, because there are people that do run solo out there. Look at some of the solo builds and really do kind of follow their instructions. You don't have to do it to a T, but you'll get a good idea of what you need to have some semblance of something where, like Mav is talking about, where you can play on the higher levels and get some of the better loot, as a solo player. So that's what I would personally do.
This is a great game for end game stuff.
Yes.
One of the best out there. Yep. So, and the good thing about it too is they're going to continue support now, with regular seasonal content and all this kind of stuff. So I'm really getting back invested into it.
For sure. And the other thing, Elvin, too, is with the great community, Dark Zone is a different beast altogether. In the regular world, if you are soloing and you're having a hard time, if you send out your signal for help, chances are you're going to get somebody cool to jump in. When I was soloing, I had high level guys jump in all the time and drop me good loot, and constantly help me through a certain section of the game. Again, there's a really strong community around Division 2, and most of them are really good people.
The
and
PvE
will come in and help
community is very good on there.
Yes.
A lot of videos 100%. To watch, a lot of stuff you can look at the forums, builds you can look at online. But it's very, like, it's got a lot of systems. It's got a lot of stuff in place. It's got a lot of the calibration stuff, even more. They keep adding more too. So that's why it's so good though with the end game, because they don't shy away from that stuff. They keep adding and adding to it. So I highly recommend it as well. One of my favorite games right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the chat, man, we got a lot of great people in here.
50
Look,
right now.
Jigga J showing up in here. Good to see you. Chris Jones, see you, and it already shouted out to you, brother. Special thanks to you, sir. And I know you're loving Eiyuden Chronicle rising, and we're getting ready for 100 Heroes next year. It's going to be fantastic. Hydra, great to see you. Alvin, we just got done talking to you, sir. Thank you for dropping in, though. Dark Zone, 2525, awesome to see you. It's Timmy is in the house. Always good to see you. Tony Grasso is in the house, brother. Always awesome having you here. Vic the Click dropping in as he always does. Silent Cypher, Brian, great to see you, sir. Razor NZ is here. Just Key, great to see you, Just Key, brother. Can't wait to see you back on shows again. Great to have you in here. Who else we got in the house here? We got who else? Man, you guys are just
John Wolf. Yeah, it's Andrew.
Yeah, John Wolf is here. Patman Jones Effect is here. Good to see you. Caitlin, special shout out to you again for doing the tweet and for obviously doing all the graphics work for the shows. You do amazing work, of course, outside of just being an amazing human being. So all love to you, Caitlin. Masshold 1977, Andrew Cullinane, John Wolf, as Mav just said, brother, great to see you. 3-Bit jumped in here for a second. He can't make too many shows, but he always makes the chat somehow, some way. So great to see you, Lore Master Jasper. Actually, it's just Jasper. It's just Jasper now. Okay, no.
It's just Lord Jasper, actually.
It's just Lord Jasper. I just go by Lord Jasper. Only my mom calls me Lore Master Jasper. Hey, Polly, Baba, great to see you as well, sir. Shout out to you. And I think we've got everybody.
Focus
Anybody
Active
that I
just
missed?
hopped in there.
Focus Active, great to see you. Siki is in here. Ghost Fixter, great to see each and every single one of you.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Oh, we just saw, Dr. Dinglenut. How can I forget Dr. Dinglenut? Great to see you as well. Thank you all for joining us on PM and the PM General. Spartan 27, brother, you're always hopping in. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you
I
all
gotta
for
say
being
something
here.
real quick too. Like Ghost Fixter, I don't know if he's talking about my gameplay on my streams. I appreciate that. Anybody likes to watch our streams. I'm sorry for my gameplay, but we do have a lot of fun. It's getting better though. I'm getting better. I appreciate you.
Are you sure about that?
I think he likes that everybody gives me shit while we play, and then I can just take it, and it's what it is. What it is. I'm learning. You know, everything's gonna be fine.
Look, you do it to yourself, Mav. You know you do it to yourself. Sometimes I almost think you do it on purpose because you like getting the attention.
What?
But then I go, nah. It's just
I'm actually just that much of an idiot. Yeah.
He's just gonna run into places without the rest of us and start a giant war because that's just Mav. And then he's gonna be there downed as we show up. Unbelievable. Anyways, we won't get into that side tangent. All right. So, Mav. Look, after last week's news, you kind of talked about in your opening, right? After last week's news, again, you talked about the hype level starting to increase. My hype has trailed off at this point. Again, I'm excited. I am hyped for the show. I know they're going to do a fantastic job. It's just that I have more questions now, and I'm more curious about this show than I was before. As to what they're going to do. Xbox, of course, we're talking about with Starfield and Redfall delay. So I was hoping this week that we'd have some palate cleansing news, right? I was hoping that there'd be something substantial that came out this week that kind of did exactly what you said with your opening and really wash away kind of the bad taste in our mouths. We didn't get a whole lot of that this week, but we got a lot of little stuff, right? And we got a lot of little gaming news dropping everywhere. And of course, Sony came along, and whether planned or not, they did work their way into the conversation this week, which is what I expected from Sony. And I think that we're going to hear more from them coming up. So let's start with the Sony stuff. So I know you already talked about this on FSP, so you've got some practice talking about this. I've talked about a little bit today, but look, they finally dropped some more details, which they kind of had to. I mean, we're coming up close to launch in June of PlayStation Plus. Of course, we've got Essential, Extra, and Premium. Am I correct on that, Mav? I think I'm correct.
That
on
is
that,
correct.
Right? Okay, so they dropped some more news this week and got into some details about what games we can come to expect when this new subscription service drops. And I was kind of excited. Like I said, I was expecting more from them. I know a lot of people were like, this is going to be terrible. This is going to be it. It's going to be $18. They're not going to have diddly squat in there. And I kind of said on a lot of the shows that we talked about, and I know, Matt, you kind of had the same opinion. Kind of, hey, it's kind of a wait and see deal. We do have to hear some more. But, we both kind of thought that Sony would have some more to this. And I think that this kind of did answer some questions. There's some more. Right. There's some more questions out there about this service and about what you're actually getting for, your money. But let's talk about the big one. They kind of they leapfrogged Microsoft. Of course, early in the year, we had heard that Ubisoft Plus was coming to Xbox. And again, everybody, when that news was announced, there's a lot of people conflating it, saying, Ubisoft Plus is coming to Game Pass. And of course, they came out and said, whoa. Yep. No. Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox, not into Game Pass. But Sony came out and kind of confirmed what we talked about, that behind the scenes, Ubisoft might have been working on their own kind of vault. And so PlayStation Plus Essential, God, can I speak tonight, is not going to get the Ubisoft program.
It's pretty much PS Plus as it is now.
Correct. Essentials is staying what it is, but Extra and Premium are both going to have access to what is basically a vault, not a complete vault. We were talking about this behind the scenes. They are missing some stuff in there for sure. And it'll be interesting to see if that's coming later or what they're going to do with that, because this seems like a weak attempt by Ubisoft to kind of say, well, now we're going to do the same thing as EA, but not really. We're going to hold some stuff back, which is quite interesting. But they do have this vault now, and they've got these Ubisoft games in there, right? And they got some of the biggest franchises in there, along with, even surprisingly, Valhalla is actually coming, which has never showed up on Game Pass before. But that's going to be included as well. Now, specifically, and like I said, I know you talked about this in FSP, but specifically the Ubisoft stuff. What surprised you about it? Is this a good get for Sony? Again, we know some version of this is coming to Xbox as well. I expect Showcase to talk about this, or maybe Keighley's Summer Games Fest. One of the two will kind of flesh out what Xbox is getting. But for Sony's standpoint, with the Extra and the Premium both getting this Ubisoft package, was this a good thing, man?
I mean, it adds value. I just don't know if it really moves the needle too much. I mean, I think you're going to get some good things every once in a while. Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is that's a kind of a big deal, right? You can't say like, it doesn't matter. However, it's still a 2-year-old game at this point. And I think that it's cool to add that. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't a sign that could be coming to Game Pass as well fairly soon. Because I think that this Ubisoft Classic announcement was part of PlayStation trying to get ahead of Xbox's showcase and get some of this information, because they know they got their like June 13th launch, and they're probably not going to have a showcase of their own until after that at some point. So they want to get this news about the big Ubisoft stuff coming to their service before that, whereas Xbox may be holding it for their showcase or maybe a day after show. So at this point, it looks really good on paper where you say you have, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but after you get past Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that's where it gets really disappointing for me, right? Because for me, it's like, it's cool to have a vault, but it's not even like a vault with like a set timeline. It's more of like a vault of like, here's our old ass stuff that doesn't ever sell anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And you got stuff like Far Cry 4
right.
and Far Cry 3. And I think you got Far Cry Blood Dragon is in here as well. I may have seen that. I can't remember. But it doesn't have Far Cry 5. But we're on Far Cry 6 now. Far Cry 6 came out last year. Far Cry 5 came out several years ago now. So I'm wondering like why Far Cry 5 or, Far Cry 5 New Dawn isn't in there. The same goes for the Division. You got the Division 1, but not the Division 2. It's a several-year-old game at this point. I think it would have done actually good things for the Division to throw it into this service as well. So that kind of makes me have some questions. And then also you have things like Watch Dogs, right? Which isn't even, I don't know why that's not on this list right here, because that wasn't announced from the Ubisoft section.
I don't see it on mine either. I'm looking at a different one from you, and I don't even see it on here. So
yeah, it was on the Ubisoft list when they put out their list, but
was it? Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I don't see it on this
interesting
list. So I'm going to look for that other list from Ubisoft.
Yeah, I don't see it on mine either.
But yeah, Watch Dogs was part of the Ubisoft Classics announcement, but it was just Watch Dogs. It wasn't Watch Dogs 2. It wasn't Watch Dogs Legion. You know, or maybe Watch Dogs 2 and it was on there. I'm not sure. But like, it's kind of, I just feel like it didn't really move the needle for me as far as it being a service that you pay for old games. Right?
Right.
And that's what it is currently, and that's going to be fine for a lot of people. And I'm not necessarily saying I won't subscribe to it, because there's some cool stuff in there that I think I would like to play on a PlayStation that is part of it, especially some of the first party stuff. But as far as the third party, I was a little bit disappointed from the offerings, not just the Ubisoft stuff, but just in general, that there's not some newer third party things in there. You do have some that I think are a bigger deal, like Guardians of the Galaxy, and you also have NBA 2K22. You can't overshadow how big of a deal that is, that it's hitting the service. But overall, from the third party partners, there's a lot of older stuff in here that just didn't get me like super excited. Overall though, it's better than I thought it would be, I guess. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not better than I thought. I had higher hopes, but lower expectations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't think they're done yet. What's interesting is what's interesting though with the Ubisoft thing specifically, right? Is this the start? So things like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Square Enix, okay?
Right.
Obviously, they cut a deal to bring into Game Pass first, right? Obviously, Square Enix said, well, Xbox, guess what? PlayStation's got their service coming out, and we're going to cut a deal with them too, so you can't sign us to exclusivity. Obviously, 2K did it with NBA, right? Saying, nah, we're not going to sign exclusive to Game Pass. Does this start the war of the subscription services? Because Ubisoft here, like, they list For Honor, right?
Right.
For Honor's included. But Xbox is getting the DLC. We're getting the expansion pass added, right? Does this start the war where Ubisoft is going to be the first example where certain things are in one subscription service and not another? And does this start that whole battle between Sony and Xbox? Like, hey, who's going to drop the biggest money bag to secure, games A through C, while D, E, and F go over to the other subscription service? Because there's some crossover here, but I think that it's going to be interesting when Ubisoft finally announces what is happening with Game Pass to kind of cross-reference these two lists and see if there is some difference between the two, and maybe somebody's dropping some extra cash. Do you think this is the start of the subscription wars at this point, where we're looking for exclusive DLC or exclusive games from one publisher or another not coming to the other's platform?
I think there's an aspect to that, but I think it would be more substantial if it was newer games, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is like a fight. If you're fighting over old games, it's not like, okay, well, this one has this service, this one has this, but like, it's not really like people are really like looking forward to paying a lot for service just for old games, I don't think. The fact that the trophies, we talked about this before, are added, are there as well, kind of adds an element to this. Maybe people are going to use this as a way to earn a lot of trophies and stuff like that. But as far as offerings go, I do think there's an aspect of it where like Xbox has like maybe already a deal in place for certain ones, and then PlayStation has certain ones, and they're kind of divvying up those classics between the two. There was somebody that posted a leak. This is like a huge truck assault, because it could have just been a post that somebody made because it's a reasonable expectation, right? That this same Ubisoft Classics type deal is coming to Game Pass and was being planned to be announced at Xbox's conference, right? That would not surprise me at all, especially with we know that Ubisoft keeps saying, hey, we're adding more games to Game Pass. We're adding more games to Game Pass. And they've already announced some that have been put into the service already. I think the last ones they announced was like Origins and Odyssey potential from Assassin's Creed. I can't remember 100% what all there was, but
Yep.
again, here's a list of the
Origins, Origins for sure.
Origins. Yeah, this is a list of the ones that were the 27 announced. And it says will grow to 50 by the end of 2022, right? So that means that they're going to add 23 more by the end of the year to PlayStation Plus, which maybe that's where some of the ones that are missing are going to be coming from. So it's definitely not done, but we see things that just throw me off right now. I just don't understand it. Like why Watch Dogs 1, right? And not Watch Dogs 2. You know, like I don't know like where they're coming up with that information, like not information, but ideas of what to throw in the service, like what kind of timetables they have. But if they're actually almost doubling it by the end of the year, that's where I'm thinking maybe all those other titles are just going to be put into there at some point. And that way it gives PlayStation more of like a pipeline of new games coming, and that may be why they decided to do it that way. Like, okay, well, we're going to release it with this, but they have a deal with Ubisoft. Okay, you're going to be funneling things into the pipeline, like almost like holding it back until later just to have announcements of new things coming to the service.
Right. Which would make sense in a way, because we just talked about that behind the scenes. Like, how does Sony keep retention up, right? How do they make sure that they have some type of roadmap that keeps people interested from month to month? Because we already know how Xbox does it. But Sony, we have no idea how they're going to do that. Xbox, you guaranteed to have 10 to 20 titles per month dropping into Game Pass. And some of them are going to be new. Some are going to be a little bit older. Going to be indies, going to be third party, AAA, double A, everything in between. And it's going to be diverse. We don't know with Sony what they're going to do right now. So maybe that is part of it. Maybe the Ubisoft thing is a trickle effect. But that, it's funny. It's going to be funny if Xbox makes the announcement, right? And everything's included with Game Pass Ultimate, let's say. Everything's included out the gates because they already have so much content. They don't need to hold, Ubisoft games, just like EA. We didn't see any holding from EA except for the newer stuff, which always takes 6 months to a year to drop into their vault. But again, Xbox has no reason to hold back Ubisoft. So it'll be interesting if Ubisoft just comes in full, the full slate of games out the box.
It could be. It wouldn't surprise me, but the other aspect is like, I think that the key aspect to this is we're not even discussing really right now is that Ubisoft Plus in its entirety is also coming to PlayStation, right? Which is going to be the first day one service that is a subscription service launching on PlayStation platforms, right? And it's going to be interesting to see how that does. And it's also going to be coming to Xbox. They again made the same announcement that they did with the Xbox announcement. More details coming later, right? But without any kind of information. So I'm thinking we're going to get no pricing, nothing. And I'm curious if there's some kind of still negotiation going on, or if there's just they already kind of waiting for the timing for the announcements at maybe a Ubisoft showcase or at the Xbox showcase, whatever PlayStation ends up doing. And what I'm curious about is it just going to be, standalone, you pay the $15 a month for Ubisoft Plus, and that if you want it, you get it. If not, you don't. Or is it going to be tied in somewhat with discounts, depending on if you're subscribed to these other services? Because with Extra, you get these Ubisoft classics, right? With Premium, maybe there could be potentially some kind of discount for Ubisoft Plus, as well as on Game Pass Ultimate. Maybe there could at least be some kind of a discount for Ubisoft Plus, because I wouldn't rule that out with Game Pass perks. PlayStation Plus has deals too for subscribers and stuff like that. So I would think it's a possibility. And it's curious, regardless of anything else, PlayStation is now going to be a platform in which you can subscribe to day one games, right? Even if it's not PlayStation first party, it's going to be a platform where you can finally do that. I'm wondering if that's going to move the needles on any of the mindset from any of the gamers or media who's been against like these subscription services, thinking they're ruining the industry and all this kind of stuff, when all of a sudden you start to see more services go on more platforms. Because ultimately this is what's going to be headed for all of them at the end of the day. So just kind of curious how that's going to work out. I don't think that
Uh,
in the service as
well,
it is now with what they announced
but-
is moving the needle too much, but
Right.
we'll see.
Right. It's just adding, right? But
Yeah.
but you got to remember, Matt, when Ubisoft made the announcement for Xbox, right? I mean, Ubisoft games are trash, man. Nobody plays Ubisoft games. So,
Right.
I mean, that's what we heard, right? Like,
Yeah.
who cares about Ubisoft Plus? Nobody plays those games. That's garbage, right? But you know, again, for people who forget, Ubisoft Plus is different in the fact that Ubisoft Plus, the full subscription model, is brand new, day and date games with all
the
DLC included. All the DLC. And with Ubisoft, when you're talking about Ubisoft, that is a lot of extra content. That is a lot of money saved if you are a Ubisoft fan. That's why I'm curious about the price points for both of these services. Is Ubisoft going to cut two separate deals? Is Xbox going to pony up more money, pun intended, than Sony is in order to make sure that Ubisoft Plus has a bigger discount or is included in Game Pass Ultimate? Again, we talked about this, Matt, to fill that hole that Starfield leaves, right? Did that change the negotiation with Ubisoft? Did they have to now kind of at this point, again, we talked about what are they going to do? If they come out at the showcase and say, guess what, everybody, Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox and you'll be able to get the service separately for $10 a month or whatever they come up with, $12 a month. Or if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you're going to have that included in your Ultimate subscription. Now that moves the needle for a lot of people when you're talking about Ubisoft and all the DLC. That would be a huge added value right there out the gates. So I'm very curious to see how both of these are going to work. And it's going to be doubly interesting to see with Sony's budget on what they have. Because again, Sony's not poor by any stretch of the imagination. This is $1 billion company, but they are up against $1 trillion titan. Does that get into how much they are willing to negotiate with these companies in order to get exclusive content for their subscription service? Are they willing to go the extra mile for that content up front because they're not dropping their games day and date? Because again, retention is going to be a big thing. Because when you look at the other third-party titles, look at that list, Mav, right?
Yeah.
You get things like they've got obviously a deal with Annapurna, which is awesome as one of the indie premier, if not the premier indie publisher out there. Annapurna, we know Xbox has a great relationship with them as well. Look, they're cutting deals with them, but they're getting things like Ashen, right? From Annapurna, which great game. It's just older, right? You're getting Batman Arkham Knight. Okay, great, but you know, who hasn't played Arkham Knight at this point, right? So again, it's one of those games. But you know, not to say Game Pass has a lot of this as well. We do get a lot of older games, but it's part of almost 400, over 400 titles. Whereas Sony, if you take out their first party stuff, has nowhere near that. So again, it's not apples to oranges here. So when you look at Arkham Knight, Celeste, been in Game Pass a lot, older title, great game. Cities Skylines, been in and out of Game Pass many, many times. Obviously, one of my favorite publishers in Paradox. Cool, if you're into city building. They are getting some diversity. Control Ultimate Edition. Now, that's cool, right? I bought the Control Ultimate Edition on sale. That Ultimate Edition has never come to Game Pass. We've gotten Control, but not the Ultimate Edition. So that's one of those extra deals I think they probably cut on the side because they have a great relationship with 505 Games. They've had 505 Games that Xbox has never seen before. And obviously they have a great relationship with Remedy. So to get Control Ultimate Edition, hey, that's a bonus, right? There's a lot of people who never tried Control for a variety of reasons. Dead Cells. Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. I said this from the beginning. That's always on sale, so it's not a big deal, but expect to see a heavy Square Enix influence on this subscription service. They're obviously best friends with Square Enix. They're going to cut those deals to bring those Final Fantasy games in. I expect more to show up here shortly rather than later. Hollow Knight, you already mentioned Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, another Square Enix. Great get. A newer title. Awesome. You get both the PS4 and PS5 versions. Mortal Kombat 11. Again, been around for a long time. Great game. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Again, diversity. Great. NBA 2K22, you already talked about. Outer Wilds. Annapurna, older game, been in and out of Game Pass before. Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, it'll be interesting to see how long 2K games stay in there. We've seen Red Dead drop into Game Pass, but it doesn't stay for very long. Does Sony get a bigger deal out of them? That's a big game. A lot of people are going to jump into it just for Red Dead Redemption 2 to play it again. It's fun. It's there. Resident Evil, Soul Calibur 6, South Park The Fractured But Whole, The Artful Escape. Again, to be clear, South Park is a Ubisoft game, which again we should mention because people forget Ubisoft actually published that one. Mr. Driller, Tekken 2, Worms. Again, these are old games. Worms World Party, Worms Armageddon, BioShock Remastered, Borderlands: The Handsome Collection, Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. For me, that's cool because I didn't want to spend money on it. It's never dropped in Game Pass.
Yeah, it was
cool
kind of
like
a lazy remaster, supposedly.
Yeah, a very lazy remaster, but I love the old one. Cool to get. Lego Harry Potter collection from WB Games. What else we got? We got Azura's Wrath from PS3, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, Devil May Cry HD collection. Again, these are PS3 games. Enslaved Odyssey of the West, Fear, Lost Planet 2, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. And again, we should make clear the PS3 games are going to be streaming only. Yeah, you will not be able to download those. So I think overall, like I said, it's a start, right, Mav? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was
laughing.
Oh, I'm just laughing at some things whenever I look at the list and I see like the PS1 games like that they were highly touting, or like the trials, like the stuff that, because that's the stuff you're paying for the extra or the premium tier for, right?
Right. Correct.
And there's just nothing there hardly. You know what I mean? I just don't understand. Like I don't know if there's more to be announced with that. I'm hoping so. But for the premium tier right now, that extra money that is required to get that, this is all that's currently announced that has the game trials, right? I'm guessing it's going to be something that's going to be with more new games whenever they drop, right?
Correct.
But right now, this is all they got for the trials, right? Which is part of the premium.
Yeah, premium.
And then there's also for the PS1 games, PS2 and PS3 games. Let's see. There's classic games, PlayStation Studios. This is all PS4, so that's included on extra. Original PlayStation, third-party partners. You got 4 games here.
Yep.
And you got
which I mentioned
6 games here
from first party, right? And I think you're onto something now.
That's 10 games total. No, I don't know where the
10 games total, right?
Where's the PS2 games at?
I don't know if there was any PS2 games on this list to start.
Right.
Listen, Mav, I think you're onto something, Mav. I think you were onto something when you said about the Ubisoft that they're holding back.
Yeah.
They're holding back, brother. They're going to hold back. Now, again, to their credit, Mav kind of said it in the beginning. For anybody that didn't hear, Siphon Filter just got confirmed from Ben's studio that they're adding trophies. So if they're going back and adding trophies to all the older games, or to a lot of the older games, that's a huge bonus for a lot of people. But I think, Mav, you are onto something, that they are going to hold back groups of games so that every month, like we talked about, again, Game Pass is set up. We know what to expect. I think that they're going to hold back, and they're going to, until they can get rolling, until they get their games of service ready, until they have third parties lined up. I think that the monthly drops are going to be older PS titles. I think that that's what we can come to expect, right?
I'm not a huge fan of that, to be honest with you.
No,
like,
I'm not either.
Because like, for me, like when I say I'm going to subscribe to the service and I want to get the vault, right? And now if you're manipulating the vault just for content, then that's not, I'm not going to say it's necessarily misleading, but it's just manipulating the system in order to be able to seem like you have new stuff as opposed to actually having new stuff, right?
Correct.
So that's a big differentiator, and until they get more of the newer games hitting. Now, I have to say some of the third-party stuff they did is really cool, right? Red Dead Redemption 2, NBA 2K22, Guardians of the Galaxy, things like this are great, right? But it seems like, to me, like there's more focus and investment on the third party than there is from them in the first party.
But who are they emulating, Mav? Who else
Nobody. I
does
don't know.
that? Well,
Nintendo. Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Right.
Nintendo holds back their
So,
vault, right?
which is like, okay, like we criticize Nintendo for it, right?
Right,
Or
right.
we have, but like it's kind of like I get where they're going with it. I'm not saying I don't find value in it, right?
Sure.
Especially if you're
Right.
a PlayStation only consumer,
Right.
right? I think that there's value there, especially in the extra tier. Right now, for me, the premium is something I would need to probably wait and see on, because
Yeah.
I was expecting, from the way their original announcement seemed like it was going to be a big list of original PlayStation and PS2 games and stuff like that. But currently it's very, very, very lackluster on that. And if they're going to be just manipulating that system to add content to it, it kind of makes me question like the merits of that. And is it like, how long is it going to take for them to get to a substantial library with that? Because that's something we already have that exists on Xbox. You know what I mean? Like,
Are you saying Farming Simulator 22 2-hour trial is not worth the premium? Are you saying that?
Unfortunately, not unless you were really
That's a
on the
hot
fence
take.
about Farming Simulator 2022 and did not know if you wanted to buy it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like, man, I just can't pull the trigger of Farming Simulator 2022. I don't know. It's available for rent anywhere. I don't know. I just don't know. You know.
And I think you bring up a good point though, Matt, because
Yeah.
thinking about this, right? Again, not only retention are you looking at, but how many people are going to, like, they're hardcore, right? The hardcore fan base. There's going to be a lot of them. I said this on GPG because we kind of talked about this topic today, because the question was brought up. How much better do you think that this current, as it stands, as we know it right now, how much better is this going to do than their current setup of PlayStation Plus and PS Now?
I don't see a lot of difference in it.
No, I don't see a lot of difference, but I think there's enough there, especially for their hardcore base. I think they can hit 10 million between the extra and the premium, okay, which is a lot more than they have in PS Now right now, right?
Yeah, like 3
I think
million.
that they can, I think they can hit 10. But my question is, how many people are you going to get to commit to a yearly purchase of that, of with the discounted price of the premium? Or are you going to have people that go, okay, I'm going to sit in premium for a couple months and see how it goes? And how many people are they going to see drop in and out of premium and the extra and the essential? Like, how much movement? Because you don't want that in a subscription service, right? If you're going to set a tiered system, you want to have it stable. You don't want people dropping back and forth. And to your point, which I think is a great point, is like you're not interested enough in premium up front. If I was to go buy a PS5 tomorrow, I would buy the premium service to start out, but I would not buy the yearly package. I would be a monthly subscriber and I would wait and see how they were going to do it. And if all of it was PS2, PS1, and PS3 games dropping in there and not a whole lot of extra third party and no big first party titles, newer stuff, well, then I would drop myself down a tier, right? And you don't want that. You want to know exactly what your reoccurring money is going to be monthly within reason. And so I think that that's a great point, Mav. Is there enough right now to keep people in premium? No, I don't think there is.
Yeah, I think
and
extra
I don't think,
right now is a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And then maybe premium will be built up, because they got to figure out a way to add
Right.
more value into that, especially with day one. Now, they supposedly more Ubisoft games being added to the end of the year. And also they said new games being added regularly on this PlayStation announcement. I think we'll know more. This is also just the first batch, right? This is the launch. But if it's more of stuff that they could have put in there, just holding it back, that rubs me the wrong way. Especially knowing that I was subscribing already at a certain price and expecting that certain amount of service. Instead, you're giving it to me over time when you could have pretty much probably just went ahead and dumped them in there. You know what I mean? So I don't know like how they're treating it. But it's like Disney. It's like the Disney Vault almost. You know what I mean? It's like Disney vaulting stuff. Like pull it in, pull it out. Hey, you get this stuff now, but like we could always give it to you, but we're not. You know what I mean? I don't really like that kind of aspect. For me, if I'm paying for subscription service and for like a platform, I want that library, right? And I don't know where that library is currently, because for the original announcement, it seemed like that library was going to be there. And with this first slate of games, it's very non-existent. Like, especially from the classic games, right? For that, and this is not with the extra. Again, the extra has some great value in there. You got the director's cuts for Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima. You have Returnal is in there, and I can see value. I anticipate at some point games like Gran Turismo and these other games are going to end up being put in there as well. You got Guardians of the Galaxy NBA 2K22. You got Red Dead Redemption 2. You got some great games that are in that extra tier. It's just that premium right now is just like, who is that for, right?
Right.
Because there's really, I'm not going to pay an extra, $30 for the year or an extra like $4 or $5 a month for 6 first party games or 6 third party games and like 4 first party games or whatever it was, that are like, and then the PS3 clouds and the PS3 streaming, I'm just missing more of those PS1, PS2 games. And once they figure that out, I think it'll be better, but I just don't see the value in it.
And I think they're trying to entice people with the trophies, right? And I think that's why they announced that one today, because they're trying to get people enticed. And I think that if they do that, because again, people have been asking Xbox to go back and do that with the original Xbox games, right? Why shouldn't you have achievements added to it now? You can do it, right? Which would be great. It'd be fantastic. I'm not going to lie. Again, I'm not an achievement hunter by any stretch of the imagination, but when that sound hits, is there a dopamine hit? Absolutely. Of course there is. And I do miss it when I go back and play older games, right? So, which is crazy because I played for decades without anything like it, but just over the 360 era and now Xbox One and now in the series console era, it's just become a natural thing that I kind of listen for, like when I do something. Like, it's crazy. It's just one of those things. And so if they can go back and they can add a lot of trophies to a lot of their games, that's going to entice a certain fan base. Not everybody, not regular Joe Schmo on the street, but there is a certain hardcore fan base that they're going to be able to convert into premium just because of that. And I think that's a big thing. But overall, like you said, Matt, the first party stuff that they've got in there, for me, it'd be worth it to me, the first party stuff for sure. The newer stuff, because I sold my PS4 prior to this gen because I needed the money in order to buy the current gen. And so I sold it before, like Ghost of Tsushima, right? And I'd love to go play Ghost of Tsushima. And having Returnal in there is a huge win. I'd love to play those. So you'd have me subscribed at least to the extra or the one piece of the service for a while. I would probably have premium to try the older stuff out. Now, the other thing is quality, right? Let's hope their streaming has gotten a lot better on those PS3 games, because if your quality hasn't gone up in the streaming service, that was the biggest complaint about PS Now. The games you couldn't download that still had to be streamed, people still had issues with. We know how many billions of dollars Xbox has invested in their streaming. I don't think Sony's done that. So that better be up to par. Are they still
using the same servers and stuff, or they switch over to Azure? Because I remember that whole Sony Azure deal or whatever. But like, I don't know if they said,
nobody knows if that's happening or not. If that's what they've done here, or if that deal never really, like, the announcement was made, but never anything came to fruition. Nobody knows, and so that's what I want to see is what their streaming is like. Because if they've improved the streaming to a decent amount of quality, then the PS3 games are enticing, right? There are some really big ones they could launch into that service that would be like, all right, I want to go back and play it because I don't have a PS3.
At some point, with their whole goals for their future, they got to figure that out.
Yep.
Right? Because they're talking about multi-platform, mobile, PC, being everywhere on as many devices as possible and all of this stuff. And over time, that's going to require really strong streaming, right? And kind of Xbox is leading the way with that by far right now, and even their service is still, hit or miss at times. I'd say Google Stadia probably also is doing well with
Stadia
streaming. And
Stadia, from who everybody's played it, says has the best one ever.
Right.
So I've never played it personally, but you hear from people.
You hear from the quality is good, right?
Yeah. The quality is off the charts.
But they don't have any. But they don't have any games. They don't have. They abandoned
their
making
storefront
games
sucks.
And all that stuff. Yeah. The whole idea of having to rebuy all these games all over again, all these things. There's just not a lot of people that were like, okay, I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? So they have the tech, but they didn't really push things through. Amazon, I haven't tried it, so I can't speak on it. But I think like for the most part, Xbox is the one that's really like getting out there in the forefront of it because you have this whole Fortnite deal going now with getting on. You just anybody that has a device out there can just go to xbox.com/play. You can launch Fortnite. You don't even need Game Pass. You don't need you can just sign up for a free Xbox account right there and go ahead and hop in, play Fortnite, and you're gonna add more games like that as well, right? So they're kind of really pushing that be on every device out there possible thing right now, and that's even with third party. So imagine the whole first party, everything gets implemented in all these systems. As Sony's going the same direction, they've said it numerous times. Latest one was from an interview I think was like a day or two ago that got spread out there. People are realizing, okay, they keep talking about multi-platform. They keep talking about being on PC. They keep talking about being on mobile. They keep talking about being in all these different places. Jim Ryan said it right after the Bungie announcement. That's what it was all about. It was about live service games being about multi-platform and all of this stuff. So the cloud's got to catch up for them. I don't know if this is moving the needle on that either. We got to check it out. We got to try it, see. I will be curious. And in fact, I will probably subscribe to the premium tier just to test things out for content purposes and to be able to have an opinion on it and all these kind of things, right? But as far as the services as it stands right now, obviously it's not a one for one. You know what I mean? No. It's just something that if you're a PlayStation user, do you find the value in it? And we'll see how it progresses. I think it is a step for them. It is a step for sure. It's just not as big of one as I would have hoped originally. But after seeing the third party stuff in there, it is definitely at least a step, right? So, man, 100%. Multi-platform future though. That's what it's about.
Yeah, no, they keep telling everybody. Again, if you're one of those people in denial about where Sony's going or what Jim Ryan's vision is, until Jim Ryan's removed, again, this is the battle he's fighting with the Sony, the Sony board, but he's fighting it, and they keep telling you at every turn, hey, we're going with this. This is the future. We see it too, and we understand that there's more gamers out there than just console, and we're gonna go find them. And we know Xbox is already ahead, and they're trying to find the treasure first, but we're gonna be right behind them trying to make this happen too. Again, they got a long ways to go, and this is a first step, like you said, Matt. This is the first step, and we've said that plenty of times on our shows that this is not the final form, okay? And you got to kind of take this service in a vacuum right now. They're not trying to compete directly with Game Pass. They're just trying to get into the subscription market and kind of figure out things until their games are monetized, until they have their games as a service, until they have their big engagement titles. Jim Ryan, again, I've said it from the get-go. He's not lying when he says it doesn't work with their current model because their games aren't set up for it. They're one-and-done games. And again, I apologize for anybody who plays those games multiple times. Good on you. Most of their games are one-and-done for the majority of gamers. That does not work in a subscription model unless you have a whole lot of other diversity around it that supports it. And right now, they just don't have it because they weren't built that way. So they got to change everything. And this is what they're leading to. And they're starting. Again, you always got to take that first step. Whether we agree it's enough doesn't really matter. They took the first step, and they're going to continue to build on it and learn from this. So, again, I was just glad to see it. It was a great Monday kind of announcement. Like I said, there was more stuff in there than I thought that they might put in there as far as the first party stuff goes. Again, like Returnal, that's a big one to have in there. That's a good move on their part, and it shows. While they might not be day and date, Mav, some of their games won't take long to get into that service. Now, you can say year and a half is a long time, but in reality, from where they were, console only, hey, we're not putting it on PC, to where they are now, things going to PC and now into a subscription service within a year and a half, it's a big step for them, no matter what, at the end of the day. It changes their whole business model, and I give them props for that. So I'm glad to see it. Shout out to TWS Gaming, UK lad, Ham, Solo, brother, good to see you, sir. Biggie Butters, RWK88, the Fifth Horseman V, of course, showing up here. HTK360, brother Peter, always good to see you, sir. Thank you all for dropping into the chat. Dark CMF, always great supporter of this community. Huge supporter in this community. Great to see you, sir, jumping in here as well. Appreciate every single one of you for joining us. Again, it's PM in the PM. Please, if you are here, if you are enjoying what Mav and I are doing, please, the business side of things, it does help us find more people. We have been seeing growth. Mav has been seeing growth on Fun Speculation because of all of you taking the little extra step and hitting that like button. And if you're feeling extra special tonight and you got a big smile on your face, share it out if you got the chance. But please hit the like button because it does help us grow everything that Mav's doing here, including PM and the PM. So thank you all for that. Look, Mav, let's talk about this. Let's get the little speculation town. We've already talked about this before, but let's update. So for anybody who doesn't know, it was Accessibility Awareness Day. Microsoft, of course, Xbox put out a post. You know how big, everybody who's a part of the Xbox ecosystems know how big Xbox has been pushing into the accessibility realm. Again, with the controllers, with the games, with their workspaces, everything they do really does have accessibility in kind of almost the forefront at this point. They really are making a big push with this and have been for years now. And everybody else is jumping on board. Well, they took the time to put out a tweet saying, hey, it's Accessibility Awareness Day. Let's talk about what we do. And they put out this big, huge, kind of outlining again how much they are involved. Well, Sony also joined the foray today with their accessibility, but they did it with one game in particular, Mav. One game they used to show off accessibility. They didn't talk about a whole lot about their general overarching company goals when it comes to accessibility, but they wanted to show off how accessible God of War is going to be. And this has been a debate that's been raging in the community, whether or not God of War makes 2022 or 2023. This is a small topic, obviously. We're not going to deep dive this. We've talked about it plenty. But at the end of the day, Mav, this little tweet today showing off all the functionality, all the accessibility that they've added to God of War. Just one more hint, Mav, that it's coming in 2022 versus 2023. What do you think, brother?
Like I said numerous times, I really believe I think it's 2022. I mean, when they showed it off last time, when it didn't seem that drastically like different than the last one. I'm not saying that in a bad way, right? Like that's not a bad. It looks better. It looks like a continuation of the story. This game we know that had been originally kind of touted as a round launch window, right? And it's now going into late 2022, 2 years after that. I think that there's just no reason for me to have thought that it wasn't going to hit 2022, especially with what we were shown of the game. And I'm just thinking that it's with the more that we're seeing of this now and them using that game. I think also it says on their Twitter or something like that for like 2022 or something, so there's just nothing for me that says it's going to get pushed back again. Now that it could happen. It very well could happen. I mean, we're living the age of game delays, right? But this has already been delayed substantially. More than once, I believe, actually internally, from what they originally had told everybody as well. So
Corey came out with the announcement last year or whatever it was saying.
Yeah. So for me, I just think it's probably going to hit this holiday. It's going to be a smash hit. It's going to be a big deal. And I'm just curious if they're going to launch it on 11/11/22.
I want them to, brother. No, I think that this was another sign. You don't show off the accessibility on God of War. That's like, again, it's a big giant feature. Of course, it was Accessibility Awareness Day, so it's appropriate for the day. It's not like it was out of the blue. There was a reason why they did it, but because they chose God of War to show off the accessibility and to celebrate Accessibility Awareness Day, I think says a lot. Accessibility is a huge deal, but that's one of the things that you push out when the review copies go out, when the reviewers are getting their hands on it, because most reviewers nowadays do cover accessibility features
Yeah.
for all the people who are curious that do have disabilities or whatever the case may be that prevent them from playing certain games. It's become a giant kind of piece of the talking point when somebody does cover a game. So that's usually when you start hearing about those accessibility features. Show to have them kind of deep dive all those features today. They're far along, man. They're far along in this production. I've said from the get-go that this is 2022. But of course, if you were listening to me about Starfield, you would have lost big over the past 2 years. So if you're a betting person, don't listen to me, okay? I've been bad. I've been dying on a hill after hill, okay, for these games. But I'm dying on this hill too if it doesn't show up in 2022, because I said from the beginning they want to bookend this year with Horizon. Again, we know what happened. Horizon, Elden Ring overshadowed it. It had its own problems. I still think that once the sales numbers come out, Horizon is going to be still doing very healthy numbers. It's just that I saw them bookending this year with Horizon and God of War, and now with Microsoft and Xbox having their problems with Starfield and Redfall, I think Sony, even despite the chip shortage, does want to capitalize on the news cycle that is the holidays and have a big game, which they normally don't. They've never had to do that because they've been dominating. But now they're in a fight, and when it's a fight, when your opponent missteps, you take full advantage. And I think that having God of War at the end of the year just makes too much sense from a business standpoint to miss it unless they absolutely have to delay it. But I think it's all hands on deck over there at Sony Santa Monica. I think they probably brought in a lot of help. Some of those teams they acquired last year are probably helping out as well. I think that that's what's happening. I think God of War is going to hit 2022. Let's continue here, Matt. Speaking of Sony and speaking of God of War, we've had some smoke, and there was some smoke that a state of play was coming, and a lot of people were expecting the state of play to be God of War and to announce that 2022. And we talked about it, Mav, that again with Starfield happening, that if God of War was going to hit 2022, that we would hear about it shortly from Sony, because Sony capitalizes on these. I even said this week was potential for God of War news. Well, we got the accessibility thing, not the announcement of 2022, but we did get the accessibility kind of deal where they kind of showed off with some interesting features. But that's smoke on the state of play happening in June. And I was on that board with that. I thought that made a lot of sense for them. And I thought that they would have a showcase later in the year, come fall time, around August or somewhere in that neighborhood, after everybody else kind of did theirs. But now that smoke's kind of turning, man, into showcase in June for Sony. And of course, if you think about it, with PlayStation Plus, the subscription service launching in June, with the potential God of War being confirmed for 2022, with these games as a service games that they're going to have to start showing people, maybe they do want to kind of get ahead or go toe-to-toe with Microsoft and Xbox's showcase, and they want to sell hopes and dreams in 2022, Mav. They haven't done that for a long time. They haven't had to do that for a long time. They got Wolverine down the road. They got all these games that supposedly they've poured money to behind the scenes. We started getting some Silent Hill smoke this past week as well, coming out of the woodwork. Look, Mav, does it make sense? June, Sony showcase or Sony state of play, or none of it? And do you expect something later in the year if that's the case? What do you think, man? Where are you with Sony doing something big in June to kind of get that hype train moving for Sony now? What do you think?
Here's what I foresee. This is just off the top of my head. Haven't done a lot of thinking on this, but I do think that this Ubisoft announcements and stuff like that coming out now is actually evidence that we're not going to get a big showcase in June. Because for me, that's something they would reserve for that showcase, as such as we think Xbox might be doing so, right? So if I was Sony, I would have been like, hey, yeah, let's not do this now. I think that's why they're doing it, is to get ahead of the Xbox announcements, so that way when Xbox makes their announcement, it's like, oh, Sony has that too. You know what I mean? they're kind of getting ahead of it. And they also have the service launching the day after that. What I could foresee is around that time a state of play that addresses that service and also gives a sneak peek at God of War, some gameplay. So maybe like another 20-minute state of play type thing that just focuses on God of War and the PS Plus services, right? And then later in the fall, like they did last year, late summer, early fall, August, September sometime, have a bigger show, separate it away, and at that point they will drop the release date for God of War, as well as showcase all these other games. I think it worked well for them last year. The question last year was Horizon going to hit late 2021? And at the same point where we were last year as we are right now, remember Horizon, they had kind of started putting out information. We think we're going to be ready, but we're not 100%, kind of. You know, they had posted some statements. We haven't seen any of that from God of War yet. It's just been pretty much silence, except for things like this. We're talking about the accessibility thing and stuff. So for me, I think God of War is hitting this year, and I think that's going to be the big thing that they have at the showcase with the release date. But I think that's going to happen later in the fall or late summer, around August, September time. And at that point, they'll maybe show what else is in store. Maybe Spider-Man 2, maybe Wolverine, maybe they'll have something new for Uncharted, or maybe that Last of Us remake, you know. Then maybe they'll show Final Fantasy 16, you know, stuff like that. Forspoken, again, is launching around that time, I think. I don't remember 100% the release date on that. But I think that's what I would anticipate. And it's because of the Ubisoft thing, right? I just don't know why they would have that before an official showcase of theirs instead of reserving it, because they could have had a big surprise thing there. Hey, Ubisoft games dropping into our service as well. So if they're good, if they're not making a huge deal about it, like what I'm thinking is PS state of play, glimpses of God of War, and then also that, and then
Okay.
I think they don't announce the release date then for God of War. They may like reiterate holiday 2022 at that point, and then give us the official release date at the later show.
Okay. All right.
Hypothetically, I don't know. What do you think?
I flip-flopped on this because I was in your same boat just last week on the Shop podcast. Right. Shout out to PTK and Fuzzy, of course. I had said the opposite, that I was thinking state of play like you, and then big showcase. I've now flip-flopped, and I'll kind of break it down to you. And again, if you're a betting person, don't listen to me because I'll probably be wrong. But here's my reasoning. I think the Ubisoft thing, Mav, was kind of out of necessity because everybody's been curious about what's going to be in this service. And you're right, a showcase, they could have done it there, but that would be really short time from the time that they do the showcase to the time that the service launched. I think they wanted to give people time to kind of digest, you know, the list that they gave everybody this week. And I think there's more to say. And I think that they've got maybe some bigger stuff they're going to add to that service right prior to launch, which would be at a showcase. Hey, you guys know about our service. We talked about Ubisoft. You know, that's great. We talked about the first party stuff. And now we got some bigger third party title announcements at this showcase. And I think that they want to, I think that Sony's rethinking their old mentality again, because this is now a fight. Because the numbers show that this is now a fight. This is not going to be a 2-to-1 advantage for them in this generation like it was last, and like everybody kind of expected, or, you know, outside of us who had faith in Xbox, but the community kind of expected it to be another 2-to-1 scenario again. Now that they know they're in a dogfight here with Xbox, and that the Xbox is coming all guns blazing, and they've got the money to do it, I think they do a showcase, and I think that they tease God of War for 2022, show us some gameplay, confirm and commit to 2022 release. I think that they bring out all of these, or, you know, not highlight, but they tease all these games as a service games, the ones that are going to be ready within the next 6 to 12 months. And I think that they promote their subscription service. They get that news out there while everybody's excited, because everybody's kind of showing off their wares during the summer. And then I think that they save the state of play till the end of to the fall, And in the fall state of play, they blow out God of War. They blow out the Last of Us remake with possibly factions, right, attached to it, which got a lot of smoke this week that the Last of Us remake is happening and is coming this holiday. Grub said that that's what he's heard. It's going to be a big holiday release. So you have this big state of play where you break it in half basically between those two big giant holiday games for you. Now, again, we can have a discussion whether or not the Last of Us remake is big or not. Look, people are going to go rebuy it as much as they say they're not. They're going to go rebuy it. Okay, they are. That's what's going to. And if they attach factions to it, or they say, hey, by the way, same time releasing factions into our subscription service, free to play, it's going to be a huge deal. Just ask Steel. Again, I think that that's what happens this year. So I think that Sony has rethought their marketing strategy because the fight has changed, because the battle lines have been drawn. And I think, again, now with Microsoft having this misstep, they want to capitalize. Microsoft is still going to have a stellar showcase. There's no question about it. They got too much to show. But I think Sony wants to get in on that action. And I think that they want to start going back to their older ways when they were competing one-on-one with Microsoft and Xbox. They were in battles, and they want to be able to stand there and say, hey, by the way, we are here. We are going to sell you hopes and dreams. By the way, God of War 2022 holiday. You got nothing to play 11/11/22. Guess what? God of War is going to be there for you. Jump on in. And I think that that's what they're going to do with this eventually. So my mindset is flip-flopped here. Again, not a giant topic, but there is some more smoke. This is why this gets so exciting this time of year, because we don't know, Mav. We don't know. Sony is so tight-lipped. We're so used to Xbox being open and transparent that we have good ideas. But with Sony the way they are, the way they have been, we just don't know what they're going to do, but I want to see it. And I really do want to believe that they're going to go all out and have a showcase this year like we talked about, the old E3 days, where it was Sony and Xbox back-to-back, one day and the next the other, and we got that battle going back and forth. I want to see that back again. I know you do, Matt, so I want to believe this is going to happen. I want to think it that way.
I do. I'm excited that the Future Games Showcase was put, I think, for the 11th as well. Yeah. So we're going to have a nice, fun week. It's going to feel like an E3. It's non-E3, but I do miss Sony going hit toe-to-toe. I just don't, for me, I don't foresee it. I think they just like to do their own thing now.
And you're probably going to be right.
We'll see. But, I want it to happen. I really do.
Right.
When you had freaking like Xbox always kick off E3, and then the next day or later that night or whatever, then you knew you had Sony coming, and it was like, what are they going to do? Man, that was amazing, because it's like, okay, here we go. Are they going to be able to match up with the show? When you separate it by months, it's like it's completely separate away. One doesn't have any effect on the other, and maybe that's the way they want it, right? They don't want any kind of comparisons going. I'm not sure, but like at the time when they were doing it, they were killing Xbox back in 2013 and stuff. But
it changed the entire generation.
It did.
It changed the entire. Think about it. Had Sony gone first in 2013 and rolled out the same DRM, the same kind of talking points outside of the TV and all that kind of stuff. But had they rolled out the DRM and everything else the way they had planned to, just like Xbox, last generation could have been completely different.
Yeah.
If Sony was leading the way with that stuff, right? There might have been backlash against them. Xbox might have had decided to do things differently on the spot like Sony did. So many things or it could have been accepted because it was Sony. And maybe the media would have lapped it up. Maybe the fans would have lapped up and said, "Oh, these are great ideas. I can trade in my used digital games,
Yeah.
Bro, we've seen it, right? We've seen it, brother. We've seen
Moving
it.
The goalpost,
Look, if it wasn't for the price point on the PS3, again, I was back in the forums back in those days when PS3 launched. If it had not been for the price point, there was legitimately a giant group of gamers who believed that the cell processor was the future of all life. They honestly believed Sony saying that we're going to put the cell processor and everything you can hook up. PS3 is going to be like a supercomputer if you link them together. The same thing they did with the PS2, people were believing with the cell processor. So if it wasn't for that price point, which completely got them demolished, it could have been a different generation then too. But they were too egotistical and they went forward with, well, get a second job. You can't afford PlayStation 3, get a second job.
Right.
Again, Donnie D level of mistake, right? Again, we got a system for you. Donnie D's famous quote. That's the same thing that what's his face did. God, why can't I think of his name offhand? Is it Harai? I can't remember his name. God dang it, I can't. Somebody in the chat will remember. Yeah, KhAos. Yeah, KhAos. Same egotistical thing that KhAos did during the PS3 era. Well, if you can't afford PS3, you gotta go get a second job, bro. But just think. That's what that competition, like you're talking about, Matt. That's what that back and forth, kind of close to each other types of showcases did back then. One could capitalize on the other when necessary, and it was amazing to watch that happen. Because if you remember, PS3 went first, announced their price point. We saw the reaction in the documentary, the Xbox documentary. They all sat around and cheered the moment that PS3 announced their price point. All the Xbox had to do was come out and say $299, and it was over. It was over with. That's all it was. And the Xbox people were so happy. That's the days I miss, Mav. I agree with you 100%. That's why maybe I'm a little bit biased and hoping that it goes back to that again.
I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's going to be what happens. We'll see. I miss it too, dude. And not just that. I mean, you had Xbox, you had EA, Ubisoft, you had blah, blah, blah. And it was like 2 days of just like nonstop shows, right? Yeah. And then Nintendo ended it with at the end with they went to their own direct, but even before then, when they actually did their own stage show, you know what I mean? It's like so much better. However, I am hopeful for this week between the Keighley showcase, the Xbox showcase, the Future Games show, and I think there was also like one or two other things that were announced for that same like time frame. We're gonna have a lot of coverage here for all of this stuff. I'm hopeful it's going to have a similar feeling, even though I don't expect PlayStation to take part into it.
No, and I don't expect them to. But if they come that week prior or the week after, and we know that it's going to happen, it still would be pretty.
They will still have a presence, though. Right.
They will still have a presence. They're going to be at Keighley's for sure, right? They're going to be at the Summer Games Fest for sure, 100%. So we definitely, maybe in the Future Games show with some smaller stuff, I expect to see them there as well. So there will be some Sony stuff. I agree with you, Mav. Just if they did come out and finally confirm that they're going to have a showcase, even around that time, it still would have that almost same feeling. Not quite. But again, things change and we know E3 is not happening. Expect Summer Games Fest to pick up a lot of the slack. I think Keighley's going to come big this year. I think he's gathering together a lot of partners. A lot of people are going to be showing stuff off there because there is no E3 platform. I think that's going to be big for him, and hopefully he does it right. And that week should be gigantic. And like you said, man, we will be covering here, elsewhere, all over the place. It's going to be a big week no matter what for gamers. Hey, shout out Rick Payne is in the house, brother. Always good to see you, sir. Extra special love and shout out to Mike Sperling, who is in the chat. He's recovering from surgery. Again, I already told you earlier today, sir. Great to see you out here, and nothing but the best for you, and hopefully it's a speedy recovery. But great to see you in the chat, enjoying these podcasts while you're recovering, sir. Rain G4 always sliding through. Great to see you, sir. Jordy from Xbox Era, brother. Awesome to have you in the chat. Thank you for dropping in, and of course, our brother from another Steel Rain dropping on in here with the hype train in all capital letters, coming live raw and uncut as he always does. And Jimbo, shout out to you, brother. And I do hear you. I know a lot of people are over the whole remakes thing. I get it. We all love new IP. And if you're not one of those people that want to go back and replay the game, especially something like The Last of Us that has already been remade, right? Already remade once. I get it, and I do understand, but we have seen some really, really high quality stuff. Again, I'll always say this: Mass Effect Trilogy is one of the best remakes of all time, and it did wonders for that entire franchise. And I'm so happy they did it, and I'm hoping Dead Space gets the same love, because I think there are certain games that do deserve it. Now, The Last of Us, I agree with you. It's already been remade. It's one of my top 10 games of all time, but I don't think it needs another remake. Okay, period. point blank. They're doing it as a money haul. And there are remakes and director's cuts, especially on the Sony side, that have been used as just cash cows. But until people stop buying them, guess what? They're going to do them. So that's the way it is. Man, we got some good news today, brother. Oh, Farqua's in the house. Arsonist. Oh, shout out to you, brother. Great to see you, man.
Yes, Brian.
Back in here. And yeah, what's going on, Brian? Great to see you, sir. Always happy to have you in the chat as well. Listen, we got some good news today, Mav. Or, I mean, again, expected news, but it's always good to get confirmation. Of course, I'm talking about the Activision Blizzard deal and Microsoft. Out of the blue, a French paper, and I'm going to read from Windows Central. Jez Corden, the one and only Jez Corden, actually wrote up an article on Windows Central. There was an interview with Belgium's L'Echo, Microsoft president and vice chairman Brad Smith. This is one of those names nobody knew until the Activision Blizzard deal kind of went through, right? Brad Smith was an unknown, but now he's kind of out here and he's kind of the heavy Microsoft side spokesman of things outside of Satya, right? When he's kind of the guy that travels around, does these interviews and stuff. You know, we got Phil, who's CEO of Microsoft Gaming, but you got Brad Smith, who represents the board outside of Satya a lot as kind of the front-facing public figure. So Brad Smith did this interview, and they asked him directly about the Activision Blizzard deal. And I'll just read this article. It's not too long. So in a recent interview with Belgium's L'Echo, Microsoft president and vice chairman Brad Smith offered some fresh details about the progression of the big Activision Blizzard acquisition. A few months ago, Microsoft confirmed it was attempting to purchase Activision Blizzard. What? When did this happen, Mav? I don't remember this. Which would give it command of mega franchises like Call of Duty, Diablo, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and Candy Crush Saga, of course. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer also confirmed that they would even like to revive dormant IP name-checking franchises like Guitar Hero and StarCraft. So they asked him how it was going, and he said, quote, "It's moving," and this is Brad Smith again, for anybody who did not follow, it's Brad Smith. Quote, "It's moving fast, at least fast enough for an acquisition of this size," Smith stated. "We have received requests for information on the subject here in Brussels, but also in London and Washington. We answer questions, we give briefings, and we provide the information requested." One of our attorneys summed it up nicely by saying, "We're coming to the end of the beginning, and now we're entering the beginning of the middle. It's a long process, and we're still at the stage where we're answering questions. For us, of course, the sooner it's done, the better, but we will respect the process." And that was the end of his quote. The deal is subject to a large amount of regulatory scrutiny, with lawmakers both in U.S. and Europe exploring the minutia of what the deal will entail for staff and the wider gaming market. Microsoft President Brad Smith noted that the deal is moving fast as Redmond fields information requests from London, Washington, and Brussels. Microsoft has previously stated that it hopes the deal could have closed the first half of 2023, which could see the upcoming unannounced Activision titles go exclusive to Xbox Game Pass platforms, such as phones, Windows PCs, and Xbox consoles. Microsoft has, however, confirmed that they intend to keep Call of Duty multi-platform in a similar fashion to Minecraft. It remains to be seen what that could mean for franchises like Diablo and Overwatch, or Blizzard's upcoming unannounced survival game. As with all things, time will tell. Microsoft is building up its gaming portfolio to compete with industry behemoth Tencent as it expands Xbox beyond the home video console. Microsoft is expected to grow out its cloud gaming platform to TVs and other devices in the coming months, expanding the Xbox Game Pass subscription service with a family plan, while also building new device agnostic titles that can run across phones, PCs, and consoles seamlessly. Shout out to Jez Corden again for obviously the great work that he does over there, and everybody over at Windows Central for sure. Wow, this is kind of good news, brother. What surprised me, and I want to know your feeling on it, is that we hear all the time about the FTC, right? We're in America. We get all the FTC stuff. That's what we've been hearing about. But, again, the one that always concerns me is the EU. The EU traditionally has been even harder on these deals than the FTC has. So it was good to hear, because those timelines don't always match up. it was good to hear that the EU is already involved, already requesting information, already in the
Yeah.
review process as well. For you, Mav, what did you think about today's news? Good news, bad news, indifferent? What do you think, brother?
I just think everything's moving along swimmingly, Pong Soul. It doesn't. I mean, it sounds like this is all due process, as they said. They respect the process. They understand that it's a long process. I think that it's good that they're in the kind of at somewhat in the same stages for all parties involved. You know, we haven't heard a lot about the EU previously or anything else. You know, other than just the state side, you know, the what's it called, the FTC and all that kind of
FTC,
stuff. You're right. So
DOJ. Yep.
I think that it's good to hear that from their perspective, everything is normal. I still expect that there's probably going to be some back and forth on kind of concessions or something like that we've heard from people, but I think they've gotten ahead of that already. So I think they got ahead of it already to speed up the process, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like they said, it's better for them the sooner they get it done. So that leads me to believe that they're not going to be too back and forth on some of these concessions, depending on how crazy they are. Now, if they come at them back and be like something ridiculous, you know what I mean? Like every game you've ever made needs to be multi-platform or something. You know what I mean? Like some ridiculous,
Right.
something like
Right.
that. You know, like there's certain things I think that could be interesting, but it doesn't seem like there's gonna. I don't know. I just don't get a feeling right now that there's a bunch of like big time hurdles. It seems more of just like a process right now, and it's just because of the size of it, it has to go through this and get picked apart and looked at from all angles. And they're doing their due diligence, more or less, to say that they did their due diligence, right? And they're gonna ask for concessions because they got to show that they did. You know, like they kind of held their feet to the fire and was like, yeah, you know, we'll let this go through, but you got to give us this. You know, like Xbox, Microsoft, they're like, okay, yeah, fine, let's just get it done, right? Timeline wise, I don't know what this means for us because we still got 7 months left before the end of this year, right? That's still a long time. Is it feasible that it gets closed out before the end of this actual year, or are we looking at maybe first quarter next year? Because I think that's what most people have said. An expectation is like first quarter of next year, but I think Microsoft would really love to have this closed out this year, this calendar year. You know, if they could like have some big news like this Christmas, hey, we got all this Activision stuff hidden like right now. You know, that'd be a big deal. If not, still, man. I know we keep saying this, like, wait till next year, all this other stuff about, you know, even with the games that got delayed. But when this closes, you cannot underestimate the impact that this is going to have on the Xbox ecosystem. And 2023 is going to be the year that this goes through. Like, I mean, it's not going to be 2024. You know what I mean? Like, so as long as everything goes through as what they're saying, if it doesn't get done before, 2023 is going to be freaking crazy, bro. Like, I mean, you got Diablo 4, you got Overwatch 2, you got like the next Call of Duty, you got the next Warzone thing, you got all, I mean, to put it into perspective of how massive this is impossible when it comes to what this means for gaming and for the Xbox ecosystem and the Game Pass and their subscription service and the model that they're going for. I mean, you tie in all the mobile stuff that this comes with. You tie in like, I mean, this is a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. 2023, when this is finalized and we see the impacts of this in the ecosystem, dude, like it's there's not a comparison out there of any other kind of acquisition, any kind of thing that's going on from any company right now that's going to have any kind of comparison to this. So man, it's gonna be nuts, dude. It's gonna be absolutely nuts. I don't foresee this not happening at this point.
No.
I think it's gonna close. I think they're gonna get it done. I think they're just gonna go through this process, and who knows exactly how long it's gonna take. His statements make it seem like several more months of probably investigations and asking questions back and forth. At that point, how long does it take to close, right? Another few months after that. So maybe late this year, early next year. That's what I'm hedging my bets on.
Here's the deal. Shout out to Joe Dunmore, and of course 3-Bit good brother coming through. Great to see you both in here, and Soul Rack, awesome to see you in here as well. Listen, Don Sicario too as well. Good to see you. Here's the deal, Mav. Actually, this gets me a little bit more excited when he's willing to openly talk about it like this in an interview and not say, you know what I'm saying? That means the confidence level is still extremely high. Like when you see people turtle or say, hey, we really can't talk about that right now, that means that things are kind of, to me at least, that means to me that there's things that are rough on the back end and nobody wants to say anything to, rock anything, right? They don't want any chance of the FTC because, again, the FTC looks at everything that's said about this. They will see this interview. So to me, that tells me that, again, all the stomping of feet and the crying and the whining and everything else that we hear, whether it's the FTC saying, hey, we're going to be tough on this, and whether it's, politicians coming out and talking about the deal, all of that is fluff right now with this interview from what Brad Smith is saying. Behind the scenes, it sounds like this is going swimmingly, according to Microsoft's plan from the get-go when Satya came out and said, we don't expect any concessions. Expect this to go through. And you know what's helping, Mav? What's helping is Sony announcing their subscription service.
Yeah.
What's helping is Sony buying up Bungie, right? Which is now going to be under FTC review as well. What helps is Embracer Group continuing to buy up studios. And here's Microsoft laying low, playing possum over here. Again, they could have purchased Crystal Dynamics. They could have purchased Eidos Montreal if they wanted to. There's nothing stopping them, but they're playing possum over here. While the government's going about and stomping their feet and throwing a hissy fit and saying, we're going to be tough on big tech. We can't let all this stuff. We got to look at Microsoft is sitting there looking, look what's going on around us in this industry right now. You guys have no clues to what this industry is. So we're going to teach you what this industry is about. Now we've got all these examples of what's happening around us. Look, the industry is moving forward. We're at a standstill while we wait for this because this is a giant acquisition for us, but the industry's growing. The industry's being bought up. There's consolidation everywhere. We got our main competitor releasing a subscription service. Look at all their great games that are sitting in the subscription service. We have to compete. We haven't even launched a first-party title since last year in ours. We need this. This is us just being competitive. Right? And we're going to fix Activision Blizzard, right? So all of this is helping Xbox and Microsoft. And like you, Mav, I said from the get-go, if they can close the deal this year, they will, obviously. Again, this is a no-brainer. They're going to do everything in their power to get this thing to go through. Again, the EU is the one that scares me more. They play by their own rules over there. They're a lot tougher on this stuff. But like you said, Mav, from the get-go, I've always expected Microsoft to give in up to a certain point. They are going to be willing to concede things like Call of Duty, which is why they were out ahead of the curve saying, no, we expect Call of Duty to stay multi-platform. We're not going to take it away from Sony because they want that stuff to just go, we already agreed to that. Come on, let's move on because get this done. Okay. And I think that's what they're doing. They're being upfront. Like you said, there will be a line that if FTC or EU tries to cross, again, Microsoft, $1 trillion company is going to be like, let's go to court. Because you guys got nothing on us. Let's go. There's nothing that says it in language that we're going to stop from here, that you guys can stop us. EU is a little bit different, and I don't speak for that because I don't know all the rules and laws over there. I just know they are tougher. But at the end of the day, this thing's going to go through. I was just excited to hear Brad Smith, again, even coming out and talking about it. Because a lot of times, like I said, if they start to turtle, they'll be like, we can't talk about that right now. Hope to have some new details for you in the future. We'll talk about it when the time's right. We're just going to try to get through the process. That always says to me, there's some rocks back there that they're hitting right now. With him just coming out and being like, everything's going according to plan. Looks good. It's going as fast as a big deal like this can. We trust the process. We're going to respect the process. That's that confidence that I love to hear and love to see. So I'm excited because like you said, man, this thing closes, whether it's this year, which would be utterly ridiculously fantastic good news for Microsoft, which could use some right now with everything that's kind of happened. Again, Stalker 2 out of their control, Atomic Heart out of their control, Starfield I believe, out of their control to a certain degree. Redfall, I think, was expected behind the scenes. All this stuff that's kind of happened to them that's kind of derailed plans. Halo Infinite not turning out, quite as expected with the content. They could use some good news. So I'd love to see it happen by the end of the year and have them be able to come out here and just go, yeah, Call of Duty, every single one of those last Call of Duties on Game Pass now. Congratulations. Diablo 4 coming next year, Game Pass. Congratulations. I'd love to see that happen. But whether it happens this year or next year is going to be colossal, Mav. And I think, again, I have said, if any of this stuff happens next year, I will be all over Xbox. I will be all over them. There is no excuses after this year. None. I don't care. Again, outside of a meteorite hitting Earth, I don't want to hear about it. You guys better have content, but if they close this Activision Blizzard deal, like you said, all those games coming into Game Pass, plus all the new games coming out from those teams, it's going to be colossal. Yeah. It's already going to be huge. Even
I really feel like we're going to have a Blizzard resurgence soon. We've been, everybody, we've all been really down on them. They've had oh my gosh, they've had a lot of bad stuff out in the public, bad PR, bad press. They have a lot of internal issues they've been going through. We haven't had a lot of new games from them in a long time and stuff. And I think that Blizzard is about to have that resurgence with Overwatch 2. You saw the excitement when it was in just this beta that on all the streaming services and as Twitch and stuff are just going crazy with it. You have potential for StarCraft 2. You have that new survival IP that they announced that they're working on. It seems like with Diablo 4 also coming, it seems like Blizzard is the aspect of this that a lot of us kind of don't think about it because it's more been about Call of Duty, and I think we're gonna see more of a impact sooner from game announcements and releases from the Blizzard side than it kind of almost like Arcane, is kind of came in Arcane's just a couple studios, right? But Blizzard's much bigger than. Much bigger than Arcane, right? But it's that what I mean by it is
bigger than Xbox.
It's that secondary thing you don't really think about as much, right? So we've already seen Deathloop and Redfall announcements, and you get that immediate payoff and excitement. And I feel like once this deal closes, you're gonna have a lot of that aspects from the Blizzard side. All of those Blizzard games that we know are coming in the next few years coming to Game Pass, and then somebody said in the chat also a lot of the Activision games, if they take those teams off of Call of Duty and say free up to whatever, it might be a while before we get a lot of those games. So 100% right. But it's more than just Activision. It's more than just Call of Duty, right? And the Activision side. So I think the whole thing.
Call of Duty is the easy one to pick out, right? Obviously, for all the obvious reasons.
And right? Diablo 4 is slated for next year, right? If I'm not right,
and everybody said, "Hey, King with Candy Crush got the mobile sector," but we forgot about Blizzard's mobile sector. Diablo Immortal is going to be big. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be big. And then they got the World of Warcraft mobile coming out as well. So the minute that deal gets done, Microsoft has their mobile division. Bethesda created a great Fallout game on mobile, Fallout Shelter. They now have a legit mobile presence, which is part of this deal as well that everybody forgets about. But it's not just King. It's not just King. Blizzard has a ton of stuff underneath them. Like you said, Mav, expect the resurgence. We've heard rumblings. StarCraft is on its way back, brother. They are going to go back to that. Think about that announcement. My God, man. It's going to be huge.
Could you imagine that announcement immediately after the deal goes through? Imagine in this world that the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, right? Let's say it goes through in at the latest, let's say May next year, right? And then June showcase next year for 2023's showcase, you have StarCraft 2 announced at Summer Showcase, which will then not just be
out there next to Phil,
which will not just be Xbox Bethesda showcase. It'll be at that point, it'll be Xbox Bethesda Activision Blizzard showcase.
They're gonna have to do something with this, bro. They can't just tack on the names.
I know, we're not used to getting an Activision Blizzard showcase either. Right, because usually they just have their game show and other things, right?
XBAB showcase,
Yeah.
like Xbox Blizzard, Activision, or Xbox Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, XBAB,
Right.
something. They're gonna have to do something with it. But yeah, no, you're right, Matt. You're right. It'd be absolutely insane if they get this done. Again, I don't expect to take till June next year unless there's some really big screw ups. And shout out to CMBR, obviously. Little Ray showing up in the chat. He came in with a great chat saying EU can prevent the merger in its jurisdiction, not beyond. Makes sense completely, but depending on EU requirements, might make Microsoft walk away. Doubtful. And again, I'm on board with that. I don't think there's any way they walk away from this. They will fight it tooth and nail to the end of the days and make it happen. So, but yeah, man, to your point, we would never. There's never been anything like what they're trying to form here. Again, Embracer Group is even bigger. Embracer Group is ridiculously huge and have so many studios, but again, not of the AAA historic type industry shaking IP that we're talking about that Xbox will own underneath one umbrella, and to have all of that on stage at one time, hit after hit, man, knowing IP after knowing IP, bro.
With it all in a service for $9.99 a month or $14.99 if you want. You know, 14, I just say call it $14.99 a month. You know what I mean? I think it's just utterly insane to think about what that's going to mean, but it's the reality, right? So
yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah, maybe Roshan, shout out to you, Roshan Eppinger. Yeah, shout out to you. It might be just the Microsoft Gaming showcase at that point, right? They might just go to Microsoft Gaming since Phil's the head of CEO of Microsoft Gaming. They might just call it the Microsoft Game Show.
Yeah. That's not a bad. I read that and I was like, Metal Gear Solid show. MGS, Metal Gear Solid show? Yeah, maybe we'll see Kojima at the Xbox showcase.
Yeah. Maybe that will happen too. Moneybag 97, great to see you in here. Man, we got so many cool people. Justice for Grumpy, awesome to see you in here as well. Fuzzy, of course, showing his face. Shout out to you, brother. You know, I don't know, man. Where do you want to go here? We've already been doing this for 2 hours, which is absolutely insane.
Insane. It feels like we started 30 minutes ago for me. I'll say this too, man. It's awesome to have like pretty much around 90 plus people in here for almost the whole show without any big news this week, dude. I mean, without any big news this week. So I appreciate everybody for hanging out and having fun with this. Hit the like button. It does, like Pong said earlier, help us grow. Share it out to people. We're trying to grow something here, fun speculation, and with Pong taking the captain's chair on this one and actually showing he's a good host, not just a podcast whore. I think it's people are really starting to see that as well. So Pong, I don't know, man. We got so much stuff now. One thing we kind of put out there a little bit was that okay, the disappointment maybe starting, you know, the dust has been settling a little bit from the disappointment of last week and kind of building up into the showcase. Now the hype is coming back a little bit. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about that, or like what the expectations are for you? I know you said you're still kind of like lost some hype, right?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, for sure. It changed. Okay, it didn't again. I hate doing this. Like anytime we talk about this, it's so hard because anything you say sounds like doom and gloom sometimes. I'm not saying you personally. I'm just saying that when we talk about this stuff, it's hard not to. But for me, the showcase has changed. Boom and I talked about this morning a little bit as well, talking about what it was going to look like going forward. But now that I've had time to process what happened last week. And obviously, again, no bigger Todd Howard fan than me, no bigger Bethesda fan than me, nobody looking more forward to Starfield than me. There's a big group of us in that same boat. But again, it was a gut punch. Okay. I've been looking forward to this again. All the Halo fans out there, including Mav here and people, got their game finally last year after a year delay, right? So they finally got their game. I wanted Starfield. Not to say you didn't, Mav. You wanted Starfield just as much as I did. But I'm just saying, for me, that's what it was. I was looking forward to 11/11/22 being the day where the kind of world disappeared. I had my vacation time put in. So now I've had a week to kind of get over it and kind of let the dust settle. So you want to get into this? We could talk about going forward. We'd already talked about it a little bit last week as well. But what does this showcase look like now? And I think that it can go, for me personally, I see it going one of basically two different ways, right? Um, and I don't, let's see here. I'll start off with saying that I think that either they stay the course, okay, which a lot of people I've heard kind of believe they're going to do, that we're still going to see Starfield, that it's going to be gameplay, that they're going to kind of show it off, you know, kind of highlight, maybe show what Redfall is more so than a CGI trailer, with both of those expected to be launching in the first half of next year. And then the showcase goes on about its business as it has, with maybe the addition of a couple things to kind of make up for 2022. Motorsport's still going to get its blowout, going to be there. I'm leaning towards the opposite. I'm leaning towards that that they wind up revamping this entire showcase, right? And that what they're going to lean into, I believe there are going to be some surprises in there. I think that some of the stuff that they were going to pull and hold, I think they're going to lean into it and give us that hopes and dreams future, Mav. So I don't know if you want to specifically talk about the showcase or if you want to go into what we think could replace. Which way do you want to go with it?
I want to read this super chat from Dark CMF.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, shout out to Dark CMF with $10 super chat. Appreciate you, dude. Always an awesome member of the community. He says, someone said no big news in the chat, but he has big news. Just found out it'll be at the Fan Fest showcase next month. Also, hit that like button, everybody. Hey, Dark CMF, congratulations, man.
Congratulations, brother.
Huge. From the same neck of the woods that I am, I'm super happy that you're able to get there and go, man. That's awesome. And I'm going to be excited to see you meet other people as well, you know, that are in the community. Yeah. That's the best thing about those things, is getting to meet other fans and people you've been associating with for a while, right? So congrats, sir, and thanks for the super chat. All right, so what do I think they might replace it with, Pong?
Yeah, you want to go that route? What do you think they're going to replace it with?
I think that they will be there, but not to the same extent, because they're going to have other opportunities to show it, right? Yep. I think that Todd said there's going to be extended gameplay soon, but they could do that separately in their own little things that they've been doing anyway. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be at that show. So I'm thinking maybe they'll kind of address it and show a trailer or something with maybe a little snippet of gameplay potentially. I don't know, but then you say, what is going to be the big star? Because the big star of the show is usually something that's coming soon, or new game announcements, right? Last year they ended it with Redfall, and right before Redfall they had Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon 5 stole the show last year. After it, everybody in the industry, everybody on social media, everybody was saying, "Oh my God, Forza Horizon 5! Can you believe that? Is that real? Is that real graphics? You know, that's a cross-gen game. Cross-gen game looking like that, you know, blew everybody away." So I think Forza has an opportunity to do something similar, but I think it's not going to come across as big as when we saw Forza Horizon 5, because our minds were already blown from a racing game last year, and to replicate the same like mind-blowing ness, I guess, it would be hard to do when we've already just seen that. So I think that it will be a step up and will still blow some minds. I think it's going to not have the same impact that Horizon had last year. So then it leads me to think they still need something, right? They still need something else to have. And this is where I think that maybe with the rumors that, or not necessarily rumor, but just people throwing out there that maybe every first-party studio had submitted something, they go into the territory of, like, let's just announce some new games that have something solid submitted that is going to ramp up people's hype level, right? And because ultimately that's what you want from the show, right? And I'm thinking if they do have that, or let's say they have something to show from a Perfect Dark, have something to show from a Fable, even just a sneak peek, because I think what a lot of people want to see now is the proof, right? Because that's where the faith had been lost a little bit when you keep pushing stuff back. Well, what about this? What about that? I think people want to see the proof, and I think people want to see, okay, well, this is why these games are taking so long, right? Not just a splash screen, not just a CG trailer, but some in-game stuff. And I'm hoping that's what was submitted by a lot of these teams. And I think they're going to showcase the best of the best. And I think we're going to get more game announcements at this showcase than we've had previously from Xbox at any showcase before from first party. Now, where does that leave for 2022? I don't know. That's the one thing is like it's really hard to freaking figure out. What did they have planned? Is there something secret? We know Forza Horizon 5 was not shown until E3 last year, was not talked about until E3 last year from the first party. They did not address it. We've already had some mentions before about Forza Motorsport. I think that Forza, for me, is a given that it's going to be at the show. And I think for me, that if I was to put my money on something that's going to be there for 2022, launching this year, it would be that game. But the question is there something else? And is there something else they could have crossed across that finish line and put out there to be able to give something else for Xbox and for the first party lineup of 2022? And I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. I think they've been scrambling. But whatever that is, if they do have it, will be the star of the show. Because that will be the surprise. That'll be the surprise drop, and they'll have that there, and they'll showcase the most of that than anything else. But man, it's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions. I can't put my finger on it, but I do know one thing. I'm no longer like thinking about Starfield right now. Like as far as like, oh, I'm not thinking about, oh shit, that sucks. You know, I'm not thinking about, oh, Redfall, Starfield. I'm past
I will
that
be
now.
Afterwards.
I've
especially if they show it.
Especially if they show it. I feel like for me, I've put it into my head that's 2023 now. I am no longer thinking about it 100%. Like my hype level for this year was all Starfield. Every game was just a stepping stone until Starfield. I have moved past that for me now.
Good on you.
I have been able to settle myself and be like, okay, they got more time. This is what it is. We're gonna see what they got in store for us this year, and I'm in a wait and see approach. And I just cannot come up with 100% the answers. And I wish I was in these meetings at Xbox to see the kind of discussions and to see what stuff they got. Because man, the list of games is like insanity. It's insane. It's huge. It is really massive. The amount of games that they have and the projects in the works. So they can come up with something to show. The question is do they have something they can put in for this year? Like, we're going to be hyped coming away from the show unless they can just completely screw it up. Like, if they just show, like, party animals and stuff like that, like the whole show, you know what I mean? It'd be cool. I mean, we like some of that stuff, but, like, there's got to be a big surprise. There's got to be one big, massive surprise. And if they do nail that, if they nail the one big, massive surprise, I think we'll all come away from the show being really happy. And I don't know if they're scrambling to trying to find that right now, or they're trying to come up with a plan to put it together. But that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm thinking is going to be there. There's one massive surprise. Big deal. I don't know.
What do you think, Mav?
What do I think it's going to
be? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Game Pass.
You think they just pull the trigger and make that deal separately for Activision? It was not on the so this image leaked recently.
That's why I brought it up.
We'll get into that. The image came out recently of, I guess, of Sony talking about their like marketing rights, and marketing deals, and all this kind of stuff. And Call of Duty was not on that was not there. It was not there, and this game has not been marketed yet whatsoever. It's only been talked about behind the scenes and from the blog posts and stuff from Call of Duty themselves and on Twitter. So there hasn't been no mention of marketing or whatever. If the marketing rights and all that stuff is negotiated at a certain point, who knows? That could have been something that came down now with Xbox, and it could. If Modern Warfare 2 they made a deal for that to come to Game Pass this year. That means they also could have made a deal for the previous generation game, or not previous generation, but back catalog games to come in as well. That could be something that turns the needle for a lot of people, man, because this is the Call of Duty that a lot of people are hyped for. You know,
the hype levels already right now are off the charts.
We've had two
already.
down years a little bit for COD because we had Black Ops Cold War was pretty good. It wasn't horrible. Like, but then we had Vanguard, which was a big letdown for a lot of people, right? Big letdown. But this is Infinity Ward with this one. Yep. This is a sequel to the 2019 Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare.
Still being played a lot, but Cold War so still.
And we have not even seen this game yet. If they come out there and show like gameplay and all this stuff, and then do Game Pass day one, Modern Warfare 2 at this show, that would be massive. Now, is it that game? I don't know. Maybe I had heard some people saying maybe it'll be some other games like Gotham Knights. I would call for Gotham Knights to come to Game Pass day one, but some people are down on the gameplay on that one even. So,
correct.
I don't know if that would steal the show as much as they want, but man, it's got to be something massive.
Saints Row and Gotham Knights even together would be cool.
Yeah,
because I wasn't planning on buying either one of those, but it still wouldn't have the same effect to the masses, right?
Yeah.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And again, there's debate on this. Tim Dog has come out and said there's no way they do it because it would spook the FTC, blah, 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 blah. Like, I can see that side of things.
Right.
But if the marketing rights, for whatever reason, weren't there, or if the marketing rights did not include the Game Pass language that said no Game Pass day and date stuff, that's possibly why Sony may still have the marketing rights, but they may not be hyping it because they already know it's going to be associated with Xbox, right? How? Because we expect, all the rumors are that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the first announcement, the first reveal is going to be at Keighley's Summer Games Fest. How crazy would that be to have it shown off for the first time at Summer Games Fest, and then it shows up on the Xbox Showcase, Mav, as day and date, Game Pass, it's there. Brother, that would have a huge impact. That would be big enough to fill a lot of the void left by Starfield. I'm not even going to lie. Even as not the biggest Call of Duty guy anymore, Modern Warfare 2 coming to Game Pass would be that moment where everybody goes, holy shit.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Right? Are you kidding me? Again, anybody who doesn't know how this works, Activision Blizzard has to continue on as business as usual. So does Xbox. They have to pretend that they don't have this agreement. Activision Blizzard has to do what's best for their investors, as if this deal was never going to go through. Microsoft can look at this. If they're confident this deal is going through, they can look at this as, hey, we're paying ourselves. This is ourselves in the future. Okay. So we're paying ourselves right now. So yes, technically, if there is no deal, if Sony can't blockade it with some kind of contract that they have, Microsoft can walk into Activision Blizzard and go, we'll give you $500 billion.
Yeah.
To have it here. Right. We'll give you, whatever the number billion. Is. 500 billion, right?
Oh, million.
500
okay.
million is what I meant to say was 500 million.
They bought them for 70 bill, right? That's like, that seems like not a good deal, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, and Microsoft has a lot of cash, but not that much cash.
Yeah.
500 million, right? $500 million day and date, right? Okay. That's an exorbitant amount of money, but to Microsoft, they're paying themselves. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. This is the funny gray area of these legal things when you have these transactions. That would be a great, let's say that's way above value. Well, that's a great purchase for Activision Blizzard, right? That's a great deal for Activision Blizzard. So yeah, they're going to do it. So it makes a lot of sense, but that would be the wow factor. Again, Saints Row, Gotham Knights, great. They better be trying to cut deals for both of those at the end of the day, because it's not going to be Starfield level. It's more Redfall level than anything. You're getting basically 2 Redfall announcements.
Right.
From a hype factor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. That's great. I think, Mav, that they do. I think I'm in agreement with you. I'm in agreement with you. I've been in the agreement. I think either they pull Starfield completely from the show, or we only get a very short segment for it. I don't think Redfall's there at all. I don't think Redfall's ready. I think that Arcane is making a much bigger experience than we ever expected when they announced saying, hey, it's going to be ready next summer, right? Last year. I think that Arcane is doing something way bigger with this looter shooter than we first realized. So I think they're actually going to be the later one released next year. And I think that they hold that until next year completely. So then I think, we had this on Xbox Ultimate where we did guessing on whether or not we see more or less games overall than last year. I went with less because I thought we were going to have showcases of Motorsport, of Starfield, and of Redfall, right? So I thought those 3 showcases were going to take up more time. So I thought in the end we'd have less games showing. I can't go back and change my guess now but I didn't know at the time this was going to happen. Now I'm saying, like you, Mav, I think we get more games overall than we did last year. Yeah. I think they lean into this. And I think you're right. I think that some games that, again, were going to be cut from this year's show because they were going to hold them until next year. I think they give us those hopes and dreams. They sell us those hopes and dreams. Like you said, they have to get the excitement. If you're not going to have anything outside of Motorsport for this year and maybe a couple third-party deals, again, this is excluding the Modern Warfare 2 thing because that's highly speculative. That's big-time speculation town. That's grain of salt stuff. As we know right now, there's no way Microsoft makes that happen. But let's say that's not there. You lean into your future like Sony did at that famous E3 where they showed everything 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road and they got everybody excited. I think that's what Phil and his team has to do here, even though they don't want to do that. Even Phil has publicly said we only want to show stuff within the next current calendar year, maybe another year out. So generally speaking, 6 to 18 months, right? That's what they wanted to show at these showcases from here on out. You're not in a position to do that right now. You fumbled, okay? Whether it's your fault or not, that's not what we're discussing. You fumbled. You lost some big stuff. Lean into it. Show us the Christmas presents down the road so that, like you said, Mav, we can see what these teams have been doing.
Yeah.
And again, if what Rand said was true on PM a few weeks ago, he said that almost every single team, according to what he's heard, has presented something to Xbox to have at the show. Again, they weren't going to do that. You take 75, 80% of that stuff and you give it to us. And you just blow it out
as much
and say,
as possible, please. Because
give it as much as possible. And then, again, as I said on Boom's show this morning, people like me are still going to come out of this showcase. This is why I don't want them to show Starfield at all. I don't want Starfield there because I will come away with thinking about Starfield. You've moved past it. I haven't moved past it. If I see Starfield there and the gameplay looks absolutely amazing and they show me space as I imagine it in my head, as Todd Howard would have it in Skyrim in space, I'm going to come out of that show, no matter what they give me, saying, I got to wait for Starfield. Hope the world lasts that long. Now I got to wait till Starfield. We don't even have a date for it next year. So who knows? Maybe it's 11/11/23. Who the hell knows at this point? I'm going to have that kind of unfortunate shadow over the showcase. But if you don't show me Starfield and you don't show me Redfall and you put those aside and say out of sight, out of mind, because they're not happening.
Yeah.
And you come with some future stuff on top of Motorsport, cut a couple third-party deals, and you come with that future stuff. Like I said, I always said, if I was Phil, I'd be showing you guys the roadmap from here until 2028, okay? That's who I am. I want to know this stuff. I will come out of this showcase extremely excited, especially if it's gameplay, especially if we get to see even small glimpses as to what these studios have been working on. Project Mara is a big one from Ninja Theory. It's not a big project, but it's a big thing because they're going for photorealism. And we got those screenshots, what, a year and a half ago now?
Sync? Yeah.
Yeah. We got those screenshots. Bro, Project Mara is not a big game. What is Project Mara's ready? Is it going to be Starfield level? No. But if you give me something that gives me a glimpse at the future of gaming from some of the best developers in Ninja Theory out there, yeah, I'm going to come out of that showcase excited. If you tell me, hey, that's hitting this fall, it's going to be a small experience, but we got some cool things in there. It's going to be this cool little detective thing where you're kind of investigating your surroundings and it's set in this one apartment or whatever the case may be. I'm going to be hyped to go play that just like I was hyped to go play the Matrix demo, right?
Yeah.
Because it gave me a glimpse of the future. Give me something like that, I'll be excited. If Bethesda can come out with some surprises like Wolfenstein 3, fan-freaking-tastic, do it. If you've got Quake in your back pocket like we expect they do, Mav, you no longer hold that for QuakeCon.
That's a big name. Yeah.
You can do a big Quake blowout on QuakeCon if you want to, but you show it at this showcase, right? You pull those little secret stashes that you had out. Again, like I said, I always say, Phil's got that bag of candy that he's always carrying around with him. Most of the time it's for Game Pass, right? Most of the time he's got all these little candies in there. And like I said last week, you no longer one or two. You reach in and grab a handful out, Phil. And that's going to include some first party stuff maybe you weren't expecting to give us right now, but you give it to us because then that showcase actually eclipses last year's showcase. And if you pull that off, subtracting Starfield, subtracting Redfall, if you pull off a showcase that meets or beats last year's show, then you have turned the tables on what happened. And that's a part of leadership. And that's what I talked about in Boom Show this morning, is a lot of people are questioning, the leadership over there. Is there problems? Are they not hands-on enough? Look, to me, next year, there's no excuses whatsoever. But this year, what's going to show me is your leadership and how you adapt to this situation, how you recover through these rough waters right now with this big giant ship that you have in Xbox. How you kind of navigate these waters this year is going to say a lot about that team that Phil has built, that we have been applauding left and right here on this show and others. That's what's going to show me. So if they come out of this showcase and people go, you know what? Yeah, it's sucky that Starfield wasn't there. It's sucky that Redfall wasn't there. But you know what? Overall, this show actually exceeded last year's. This is pretty damn good. My God, 2023, 2024, 2025 are going to be ridiculous for Xbox. You have won, and you've changed the narrative from where it is right now today. Yep. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, they can't, because everybody keeps saying, like, well, next year, and then people are like, you can't keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. Well, if they show the proof in the pudding, though, yeah, if they do show the proof, like here's why, here's what it is, here's what it looks like. This is our expected window. Like say even if it's just a damn year, right? Yep. Like if you give that information and you showcase like this is what they're working on, this is why these games are taking so long, this is what it is, this is a huge thing we're doing, then I think a lot of that is like, wow, okay, I'm sold and I'm patient for this because I see the vision, right? As opposed to just names of games. Correct. They have to get, there's, how many people just still don't realize how many projects are in development at Xbox? They still they have no clue. The actual like casual market, or like the people just like, no, Xbox has no games is still a real thing for them. They don't understand all this investment in all these games that are actually in progress. So when these delays happen again, it's more like, I need to see it. So that's what they need to do. They need to show it. And if they do, that's going to be huge. We got a $5 super chat from Dead Planet. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Came out and said, Xbox needs a true oh shit moment. Something that no one sees coming. Honestly, this is a Banjo, a Fable gameplay, Perfect Dark gameplay, Doom 3, etc. I'm going to make a random little guess. Okay. Like this is a long shot. But you know what an oh shit moment for me would be? Something that's been kind of rumored, hinted out there, that Xbox is doing more deals with third parties for licensing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we see this with rumors from Roundhouse Studios maybe working on a project that has tied to some kind of existing license out there. We see, because of Bethesda coming in with Indiana Jones as well, I could potentially see this. We see so many studios now doing Disney IPs with Marvel and Star Wars and all this stuff. The oh shit moment for me would be a Marvel game announced from a first party studio. And that's not as far away as we think, right? Yeah. I think that would be a massive deal to have that showcase from a first party, and I think it's feasible. I don't think it's like I wouldn't like necessarily bet a lot of money on it, but what I'm saying is I think it's in the realm of possibility that could happen at this showcase, and that for me would be a big time oh shit moment. You saw the reaction at the Sony show when they had Wolverine, right? Let's say you had a full-fledged X-Men game or full-fledged oh man, I mean, the hype levels would be nuts.
Blade, Spawn, hey, you can go down the list.
There's a shit ton of them that would just create so much excitement. Not saying they have to have that with everything else they got, but I think that would be a huge deal and would draw a lot of excitement. And one of those games where people are like, I need an Xbox to go play that, kind of like what PlayStation has had with Spider-Man, right? Because you can't overlook the impact that has. And it would be a massive deal, especially if they get one of these like big time characters, you know.
And I think they could do that with I guess for me, I always overlook that because we talk about it and we've heard these smoke, right? That's potentially happening, that there is a Marvel IP. And again, but on that same level, Star Wars, same thing. If ZeniMax Online has been actually working on Star Wars and they come out with a multiplayer, it doesn't have to be an MMO because MMOs are what they are, but they could. They're experts at them, whether or not it is. But if they come out with a Star Wars game that's multiplayer, that's exclusive to Xbox, that would be gigantic as well. Again, either one of those IPs combined, yes, those would be holy shit moments. Again, for me, is it overtaking Starfield? No, but they would be really good moments for Xbox and would show that Xbox is listening, that they're not just, again, because Phil's publicly said he doesn't like licensed IP. Again, he's had a lot of issues with licensed IP. We you know, again, some of the games that we want him to bring back, he goes, look, I'd love to bring it back too, but the licensing's all screwed up. It's not easy to deal with licensed IP because licensing expires. And then what do? Then the game has to disappear. There's a lot of different things involved with licensed IP. But that would mean that they are listening, that they understand that this is a gigantic market that they're missing out on, that Sony right now with Spider-Man has capitalized on, making these deals with Marvel, that the hype behind Wolverine when that was announced, and that was a simple CGI trailer made by a totally different company that isn't even representative necessarily of what the game's going to be like, that got people out of their seats, that got social media just exploding everywhere. That means that they're listening. And that means that they understand now. And again, Indiana Jones is great, but Indiana Jones, again, that discussion's out there. Is it worth it? Because Indiana Jones is kind of forgotten. You get something current. And again, X-Men to me is too perfect, man. A multiplayer X-Men where you can hop in, drop out, X-Men team, Xbox, the marketing rights itself. My God, man, with Marvel MCU now getting ready to introduce mutants, that would be freaking ridiculously good right now to come through with. I think you're right. It would definitely be a holy shit moment, and it would definitely bring some attention to that showcase in a different way than Microsoft has had in the past, because they haven't had that type of IP before, that licensed IP. At least recently, they haven't had that licensed IP. So this would be the spot to do it in for sure. So I agree. Wholeheartedly.
Man, X-Men, dude. Somebody, and it's not just somebody, make a freaking X-Men game, a pure big AAA badass X-Men game. We got Wolverine. I know it's coming, but that's Wolverine. I want X-Men.
Everybody, think about the classes you could think about, all the characters that are involved with X-Men. Think about all the years of, I'm an Uncanny fan, so you've got that form of X-Men. Think about all the other ones, though, the older ones, the newer ones that you could bring in. That team is basically limitless, that you could build. You could customize your squad how you wanted to. Even bring in the minor characters, you know, that had little roles. Bring them all in, man. Xbox with X-Men. Bro, it's just a win-win situation. It'd be so gigantic.
This may be an unpopular opinion. I'm probably going to piss some people off, but just saying what I would want from it. I don't want if I finally get this dream X-Men game, I don't want it to be a one-and-done story-based scenario.
No.
I want to live in this world and keep playing for months and months and months and maybe years. So I want some big expanded universe that I could keep diving into. So that for me means like a live service thing with updated content all the time.
Not Avengers.
Not Avengers. Oh. No, don't think Avengers when I'm saying this. They don't know how to do it.
But that's what everybody thinks now, man. No, that's the hard sell.
Not Avengers. Think of what the promise of Division 2 could have been with the systems in place there, the Destiny, and bring it to a superhero genre, right? Like
think Ultimate Alliance, but as a live service, right? Think of Ultimate Alliance, but expanded out.
More. Right? They tried to do some MMO stuff. You know, they had like the DC Universe Online, and they had, you know, the stuff like that. It hasn't been done right. It hasn't been done right, you know? And if somebody was to go in and just fully realize it to the vision of what it could possibly be, I could just imagine going in there and like having so much fun. And I know who would be my main. 100%, it'd be Gambit. Gambit would be my
and I'd be
main.
Jean Grey.
I need it.
Bro, we would wreck shop together. Jean Grey and Gambit together.
Oh my God, dude. Can you imagine the ability combinations you could do with stuff like that?
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, like, okay, think of the Division a little bit, not obviously the Division's a shooter. So, but like just with some of the systems that they have in place, the way things stack up against each other, the way you can play off of each other, the way the numbers multiply across
all the villains,
squads,
bro, all the villains through the years that they've encountered, brother. God. It's endless. The history of X-Men gives you all the material you need, all of it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Again, just to get, like you said, just to have that fully fleshed out in one game would be so amazing.
And I honestly wouldn't even mind if it was like some like cell shaded type game that was like looked like the like 90s cartoon.
Yeah.
If it like embodied that, like, well, like, you know, Disney Plus is doing the X-Men 97 or whatever it is. I forget what they're calling it, but if they had something like that, that would be absolutely nuts, man. All right, Ham Solo Gaming hit us with a $2 super chat. Shout out to Ham. He says hype is a dangerous drug. Nail the marketing, please. Xbox has had a huge issue in the past with nailing the marketing. They do need to definitely nail that for sure. Appreciate you as well, man. And Dark CMF, again, the ever so generous Dark CMF hit us with a $20 super chat. That's like insane, bro. Thank you so much. Again, he said, I don't see anything they can gain from showing Starfield. If it looks great, people will ask why it was delayed. If it looks like crap, people will say, wait, they thought that was close to ready. No win in showing it now. I would say I agree. I was on the page. I really wanted to see it, but I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities now. So I don't know what Todd Howard means by soon, but I would say this. If you're ready to show it at some point this year, which I would hope so, if it's supposed to be releasing in the first half of next year, it better be ready to at least show, then I would hope that they would take advantage of the Game Awards and use that as a platform to really showcase that game in its fullest extent.
It's not the place to do a blowout, though. It's not the place to do a blowout. That's the only thing I'll say.
Yeah,
Game Awards.
You're right.
That's
because
the only
they can't
thing.
spend like 10 minutes there.
You can't have Todd out on stage.
Right. So when is the other opportunity to do that then? If it's not
XO. If they bring back XO this year, that would be a great place to do it. QuakeCon, you can use QuakeCon. It's Bethesda show. You could show off Quake. You could have Todd have a special Starfield. Yeah,
you could actually Xbox could start taking on this other thing of releasing more quarterly type based stuff and create a show based entirely around Starfield. Like they've done stuff like that in the past, like Starfield. I said
I wanted it before the showcase, right? Starfield Day. They could make a Starfield Day. That's how much hype this game has. So they could do anything they want to with it. It's just Game Awards is a great place, but it's just not for a blowout. It just wouldn't work. So.
Man, I kind of agree, man. It's going to be a tough spot because no matter what, people still have that disappointment sitting in their system that it's not coming this year. So, do you blow people away with the gameplay now, or do you save it for later? You know, I don't know what they're going to do.
And Depka, I feel for all of you in that boat. See, I'm in a different boat and I have a different mindset, and I do understand people that want to see it. He said, Depka said they have to show Starfield, otherwise we just get frustrated with the delay for free. Nobody knows what the game is, and it's an Xbox Bethesda showcase. I totally understand where you're coming from, and for the people out there that are in that mindset, we don't know what this is. I want to know why everybody else is hyped. I want to see something. I want to see something from this game that so many people are excited about. I understand completely, right? Again, for me and for Todd's history, and again, the marketing leading up to this point was all in line with it launching 11/11/22. That's why I will say that I believe this was something that happened within the past 30 days. This decision was not something that was made months and months ago. They would never have done those Vidocs had they known they were going to delay it, because that's not marketing for Bethesda. So all I'm saying is that me, as somebody who knows what this game is, because I've played all of their games and I have a good understanding of what it's going to be. No, do I know of course I don't. I don't even know basically what it's going to look like while it's, being played. We only have CGI. But what I'm saying is I understand the concepts behind it and how Todd's mind works. I can already imagine what it's going to be like. And I really want to see it. Of course, I want the blowout. But because we're not getting it till next year, I just don't think that Todd's going to do that. Todd's now going to fall back onto their old marketing strategy and kind of go quiet on this game until closer to launch time. They don't even have a date on it yet. Until they're ready to show something, he's not going to show it off, in my mind. I could be completely wrong. They could show what they have come the showcase. We could get the big blowout, even though we're not going to know when it's coming out. That could still happen. But I do understand why people want to see it and why that would be disappointing to a lot of you. 100%. Let me tell you, it's an Xbox Bethesda showcase because Bethesda is going to be there. There's going to be more that they have. They have more studios, and there's going to be something else showing off there. I think they have some surprises from a couple of their studios that we haven't heard about, like Mav just talked about. Roundhouse is one of the rumors. ZeniMax Online is one of the rumors. Those are going to be there, and I think they're going to show them and give us a surprise or two, maybe even three from that side of things. People forget how many teams ZeniMax actually has underneath that studio because we focus on the big ones. But those teams are always working on something over there, sometimes multiple projects.
We could even see like that other Tango Gameworks game that's in the works that's been confirmed.
Evil Dead, or what is it? Evil Within 3 or whatever it's going to be, probably.
The guy that made I forget the name, John Johansson, I think, is he was the director of Evil Within 2, has a new project. I mean, there's so many. You could go down the line. I mean, there's like we don't know what id's working on. We don't know what. Besides Indiana Jones, we don't know if Machine Games has a Wolfenstein 3. We don't know.
Correct.
Arcane, if they got something else as well.
ZeniMax Online. There was a rumor that they created a studio to do remakes. I've been on that train for a while. That we hear that the remake studio is real and they're remaking Morrowind or Fallout 3. Which would be huge. Again, I know people say, well, that's another remake. But again, if it's Morrowind would be basically a brand spanking new game, a brand new Elder Scrolls, because most people have never, at least console players, have never touched Morrowind in their lives. And it would be like a brand new thing. And Noctis, you are absolutely correct. Neither me nor Mav talked about it because we both expect it there and it's kind of known. Avowed will be there, and I think Avowed does get extra spotlight. And I think that's something to be excited about. And I actually put it on Twitter that long shot of long shots, maybe Avowed's ready. 11/11/2022 for Avowed would be just a fantastic replacement.
Around, switch their release time.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's the longest of long shots. We just heard that they moved over to UE5. So unless they've had UE5 for a long time, which is possible, Coalition has had UE5 for a very long time now. Maybe Obsidian did too. Maybe Coalition helped them. I don't think we see it as far as a release date this year, but we will definitely see Avowed at the showcase 100%. For sure. It was going to be there last year and they pulled it.
I think I don't know, man. There's so much stuff to speculate on. That's the most fun thing about these shows, though, is it literally, especially with Xbox this year, anything could happen. And the two givens that we knew about before were going to be Starfield and Redfall, and now that's even up in the air, right? So literally, we're going into this show completely blind, knowing that they have like 40 to 50 projects in the works. What is going to be at this show? And what gets me most excited about showcases like this over anything else, and I said this time and time again, is new game announcements, right? I love new game announcements because it gives me more things to live in that hype zone over the next year or two and stuff to talk about. Then we get to finally see the games come out. We get to see what happens and everything. I can't wait for it, man. This showcase is going to be absolutely amazing. Dark CMF, a member for 5 months, hit us with one of the membership perks. He said decision came after the Xbox marketing team visit. Yeah, all those pictures came out from them all smiling, eating.
That's why they flew out there,
eating some Mexican food, having a great dinner. Then the next day, you got the picture of them sitting down at the theater, and then the next day, Starfield and Redfall is delayed.
Yeah, I think Todd made the call to Phil and said, "Hey, you probably need to come out here. We got to discuss some things." Like I said, I think Redfall was already known. I think Redfall was completely expected. I think they were way too early saying that was coming out this year. And I think that the Arcane team again is working on something much bigger than we think they are. So I think that one was planned, but I think Todd made the call to Phil and said, hey, better bring the crew out. We got some things to discuss. Again, in my mind, I think Todd presented it as, hey, Phil, we can get this out on 11/11/22, but we're going to have to cut out these pieces and add them later. And I think that they brought the whole marketing team out there to make these decisions and then to decide how to go forward with it. But I think that they probably watched what they had and then had a discussion. We can bring this out on 11/11/22, but it's not going to be the full boat. And, again, it's still going to be great, but it's just not going to have everything we envisioned, or we can delay it, however long till next year, and we can get everything working and we can bring in all the different mechanics and all the different ideas that we have for this game, and it'll be the whole thing. And I think after watching Halo Infinite, what happened with that and other things, I think Phil went out there, sat down with all the teams and said, look, this is what it is, and watched it and said, nope, let's give it more time. You guys get it all together. Let's get the full game in at launch. Let's be that. That's what we're going for now, is quality. Let's make it happen. And I think that's when the decision was made. Absolutely, Dark CMF. And I think that's, again, why they brought the entire marketing team out there. Like, it wasn't just like Phil and Greenberg. They brought the Xbox marketing team to get with the Bethesda marketing team. So when the decision was made, they could decide how to go forward. Because again, all the marketing up to this point from Bethesda was spot on with them believing that 11/11/22 was happening. And again, they would not have done that had this been something that happened further back at all. I don't believe so.
Yeah. Man, Dead Planet says, wouldn't it be interesting if Phil and Xbox decided to delay the games and it didn't come from Bethesda? Todd, maybe it was like Phil saw the game, was like, it's not ready, Todd. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. Who knows? I mean, that would mean like more of a negative stance from Xbox on the state of the game, but also, maybe Bethesda was planning on releasing one of their buggy releases, and then Xbox was like, no, we need it more polished because what happened with Battlefield and Cyberpunk and all these things. I don't know. That's a lot of speculation, but
it's all speculation. It's fun though, because yeah, sure, that could have happened. I just have faith that Todd, after doing it for as long as he has, is pretty clear and honest about where his game's at, right?
At least,
and as far as people, at least internally. And do I think that this game is going to be more polished than normal Bethesda games? Yes, because I think that other Bethesda games were dictated to come out at certain times because of the investor board. And I think that Xbox changes that model. But should people expect this to be bug free? Absolutely not. Again, please. Again, these open world games that Todd and his team create are the most massive style games that you can possibly imagine. And because they have so much randomness to it, there's always going to be bugs. I'm sorry. That's not excuse. It is what it is. The ambition of these titles that Todd and his team come out with kind of say there's going to be bugs no matter what, because they can't simulate everything that millions of people doing at one time within that world are going to be doing. Like people break his games all the time because they never thought of that. They wouldn't have it. They don't have a QA team big enough to test all that stuff.
Skyrim still has bugs show up that nobody's ever experienced before today.
Never
and
experienced
been
before.
Patched time and time again for over a decade.
It's been modded, and even the modders can't fix all of it, because again, it's having millions of hands and people doing things within an open world where basically you are allowed to do things in other games that you're not allowed to do. There's no way to test that out. There's just no way. So again, things are going to happen. Now you're adding in space flight on top of it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and gravity, supposedly gravity is going to be a thing. Oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens in this game. That's what's charming. And everybody says, you're capping. It's not charming. It is charming. When it comes to Bethesda, is again, to me, bugs, as long as they don't break my game, as long as they don't wipe out my save time, as long as they do none of that, most bugs to me are charming. They add character to the game, and I actually enjoy them. So that's just me, though. I think it's funny when cars go flying in Cyberpunk. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be, for sure. I never minded any of the stuff that was going on in the Bethesda games too much, Ooh, man. They are also next gen, current gen only, which is something
Yep.
else that we've seen other studios kind of form a trend of lately, moving away from last gen Gotham Knights, and now
Yep.
Test Drive and Limited Solar Crown also is moving away from last gen. Also, got that one got pushed back to 2023. Do you think that I guess some of these studios are going that direction to kind of ease up on the burden of development, or is it just that is it time? I don't know. I would love to
Yep.
see more of the first party games that are announced from Xbox at this showcase go that route.
Yep. Yep.
I hope so.
100%. Yeah, so do I. Again, lean into it, Phil. Just lean into it.
Yeah.
Again, I
mean,
know
you
you don't
got
want
the
to, but go for it. You have to.
the one thing different about Xbox compared to PlayStation right now is I think Xbox is in the more of a position to be able to do that because they have stuff available for purchase, right? They have the whole cloud service that is getting better and pushing forward already in place. You know what I mean? So there's less reason to I'm not gonna say hold back because some games obviously are scalable, right? Depending on the scope of the game and what it's trying to do. But if I see like really ambitious ass games out there that are trying to do all this different stuff, and then you got to release them on like an Xbox One, an Xbox One S, an Xbox One X, a Series S, a Series X, a PC, and cloud, that's got to be a lot of work. You know what I mean? And if you could cut off the One S, the One X, at least then that is kind of cutting down the lowest barometer that you have to worry about, right? And then making development easier for pushing things forward on the best platform. So that's what I'm hoping also at the show, that we see Series X and S on everything. We don't see like Xbox One on the first party stuff, at least for the new game announcements.
Yep.
But anyway, man.
Hey, Splendiferous, shout out to you, brother, for jumping in here. Always jumping in here. Team Jazz, good to see you as well. Thank you for jumping in here. Everybody,
is that a Civil War joke?
Team Jazz. Yeah, it's probably a Civil War joke. Hey, listen, shout out to everybody who's hung out with us for nearly 3 hours now. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for all being here. As far as one last one here, Dead Planet, the IOI Dragon game, I do not expect. I think that's one of the ones that's too far out from everything we've heard. I don't even think they pulled that one out. Maybe we get a name. Maybe we get a quick teaser with just the name of that. Finally, maybe they've settled in on a name and we do get that as a splash screen, but that be as far as I go with IO Dragon. I think it's too early for any kind of even CGI for that one, from what we've heard. You got any different feeling on that one, Mav?
Nope. Same page.
Okay. Fair enough. Man, this flew by, brother. This absolutely flew by.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. And chat, you guys are all amazing, engaged, talking in their ideas. Again, that's what Mav and I like to do. We like to read the chat and bring things in that you guys are saying too. It's important to us because, again, even if we get to 1,000 people watching live, we will still try to do that to some degree because the community is what makes us here. I mean, that's what gives us this platform is you guys. So we're all happy that, we are extremely happy that you come out and see us each and every week. And Mav and I are really growing something cool here on PM and the PM. Fun Speculations channel overall is growing exponentially over the past year. It has been awesome to see it because he puts in a lot of work and he's got a lot of shows. But thank you all again for being out here and watching PM and the PM. Appreciate each and every single one of you. But Mav, we should probably do outros. Get us out of here. I got to go eat.
Yeah.
The wife came home after I started the show, so I know she's hungry. It's already getting late.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry again. I had a late lunch, but man, I'm already getting hungry again myself, dude.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't have stopped. I was like, I got too much food, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna eat it all. I'm full. Man, I'm regretting it. I should have finished.
You should have pushed forward.
Yeah.
Push through it. Look, this was an awesome show, Mav. Again, thank you, brother, for everything you do behind the scenes. Thank you to Caitlin for all she does behind the scenes. These shows aren't possible without you two, for sure. Again, thank you, as always, for giving me the captain's here. This is fun. Again, even though this is my third show of the day, which is out of the norm, I'm still fresh. Again, this stuff gives me energy. I love coming here, especially talking with you. sir. My brother from another, Mav, thank you so much. Tell everybody what's going on starting tomorrow night, right back here. Same channel, same bat channel, same bat place, right? Bat time.
Yes.
What's going on?
Hey,
what's going on tomorrow night?
9 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And if you aren't familiar, things go left. Sometimes we get some nice visitors that show up as well. Like last week we had Craig show up randomly out of nowhere. That was insane.
Yes, that Craig chat. Yes, if you haven't watched that one, go see it. It's
towards the end of the last week's show, definitely worth checking at least that aspect out of Xbox Ultimate Podcast last week. We're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow. There's not a lot of huge topics, going on right now. We're gonna maybe figure out some fun stuff to talk about tomorrow and kind of piggyback on some of this showcase stuff. And we're what's going on behind the scenes right now is I'm recording a lot of these prediction special segments here. We got lots of people in the community that are taking a part in it. Have had some awesome people already do some recordings for me, and I'm gonna be putting that showcase together to show all of you guys that same week right before the Xbox Bethesda showcase. So other than that, that's what we got going on, man. We got this big schedule coming for all of our content for that week, between Wednesday through that Monday. We're gonna have lots of freaking shows and games and all. It's gonna be insane, dude. It's gonna be freaking nuts. But until then, game streams. I'm gonna play some Division tonight. Tune in. I hope that I will impress some of those that have seen some of my other gameplay and may have not been as impressed. I'm getting better, and I'm gonna catch some people on fire and have a blast. Shout out to Steel Rain, who's been helping coach me along the way. And then other than that, guys, Monday is FSP Fun Speculation Podcast with a great panel there as well. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern on Mondays now. And then Fun Pop on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Here every week for PM in the PM. I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys all rock. I love everybody. I love the discussions, man. I still will say, I see a lot of shows that have like 300 people in there with like a lot less active chat than we got. Our chat's freaking awesome, guys. You're engaged, and I love to see it. So leave a comments below, like, share, all that kind of stuff, and I appreciate everybody. Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
What about everything you got going on? Make sure the world knows the shows that they can find some Pong Soul.
I always do. And hey, Steel, look, save that for Saturday morning, brother. You and I are going to get into it, all right? So just save that. He said tomorrow you guys should talk about what makes you a gamer. Oh, God. Look, we're going to have rants on Saturday morning. But hey, everybody, again, fantastic to see you all the new faces, names, all the old ones too. Appreciate every single one of you the same. The people listening to us in the future. That's right. You can do that now in 2022 with this great internets thing that we've got now. So, hey, everybody listening in the future, we love you too. So thank you all for being here and enjoying this show. Look, Pong Soul, Xbox, Pong Soul, Twitter, you guys all know the drill. Tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate, I will be there. I was on time last week. Unbelievable. But I was there on time. I'm planning on being there on time tomorrow. I'm going to do my best. But you got to drop in right back here. Fun Speculation, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Like Mav said, it goes left all the time. Not sometimes. All the time it goes left because Mav's in charge. And when Mav's in charge, things get out of control because he's eating animal crackers on camera and he's not talking. And so then people take advantage and move it left or right or up or down. And that's what happens on Xbox Ultimate. But it's a great time. Love it there. So join us tomorrow night. Saturday morning, my brother from another, Steel, Rain, and I get you alive, get you awake. We get your day started the way it's supposed to. If you're in the UK, we're going to keep your Saturday going because it's going to be afternoon time for you all. But listen, set those alarms now, set those reminders, go check it out. Living Split Screen, all one word. We are on mission 1K. We are trying to do what Fun Speculation does here, except we only do it once a week. We don't have 100 shows, okay? But you got to come check us out because it's going to be 2 shows in one because it's 3+ hours. Now we've been going regularly for 4, but Steel and I can't commit to that because we might have some real life stuff we got to do. So it's going to be 3+ no matter what. As you can tell by Steele's comments in the chat, we're probably going to have some rants about the nonsense because we do talk about the community stuff on Living Split Screen as well as the entire industry. So join us there, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time, UK time, whatever you call it over there across the pond. Be there, bring a friend, tell a friend. I'll have another post tomorrow about that on my Twitter account, so please share it out if you see it. But otherwise, just be there. Check us out, see if you like it. Steele and I, rocking and rolling. We get the chat involved just like Mav and I do here. It's a great time. Living Split Screen, Saturday morning. Saturday nights is PTK Blam's channel, the Shop Podcast. Fuzzy Belvedere, who jumped in here and who is a part of the Fun Speculation family. He, I, and of course, Blam himself will be there Saturday night, ending your Saturdays correct, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And we've got Fame from Level 1 over there. They do great things, and he is an amazing guest. So join us Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Next week, Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm going to try to be there. I can't guarantee it, but you're going to have Mav if he's available. You're going to have Boxenberger if he's available. You're going to have VJ. You're going to have N64 Josh. And of course, you're going to have the host with the most, one of the best community members out there in Mr. Boomstick. That's over on Double Barrel Gaming. Tuesday afternoon, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there. Xbox Factor Podcast is a great time. And then we'll be back here, God willing, life willing. PM and the PM continues. Next Thursday, who knows what kind of news we're going to have. We get creeping closer and closer to June.
Yeah.
And things are heating up and the rumors are starting to fly. And you know when there's rumors, that means the tours to Speculation Town are open and available 24/7, 365. So guess what? Tune in next Thursday for our next episode right here on PM and the PM. But thank you all once again. It has been a blast. This time flies by with me and Mav. Again, enjoy the rest of your evening. It's the golden age of gaming. Play what you love. Love what you play, and do not let your hype get stolen. Just go share it. Keep sharing it. Don't let those energy demons get you, okay? We love you. Talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, brother. I think you got another super chat from one of our...
Yes, sir. From the amazing Splendiferous. Before we get out of here, I want to make sure I hit that up. Appreciate the $2 super chat. Splendiferous, you rock. Says, two of my favorite guys in podcasting. I get lost, man. Hey, appreciate you, dude. 100%. Thanks for tuning in. I see you all the time. And everybody else, you have a good one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.